say hello and catch up for a minute while we wait for them. But if they're too late, we're just going to start without them.
I am live, just so you are aware.
I just went live. I think so. I think.
I don't go live anymore, but I can if you want me to.
You don't stream, Sprout?
I'll get like 2 viewers. Listen, like I've streamed so rarely, it became a thing to where I just don't stream and I just show up on panels, and that's kind of what I do now. I'm trying to come back with a podcast for my stream, but I haven't like really hit live for panel stuff yet. Again,
Streaming infrequently and podcasting is the same thing.
is it? Oh, okay.
Pretty much.
Well, I'm already fantastic at it, so looking forward to that foot ahead of everybody else.
I have my hat. This is awkward. I appreciate you guys for being on time. I have to chastise the others. We might have some other people have reached out to me to ask if they could crash the panel, so we might have some other guests later on.
Okay.
I want to particularly thank Smith. I'm not trying to like exclude you here, but Lauren, Sprout, and Wick, you guys came in the last minute to help me out. I really appreciate that.
Oh,
Smith,
no, you did me a favor. You did me a favor. My content for today did not work out, so this is good. So thank you.
It's an absolute honor. Smith, I appreciate you agreeing to be here.
Weird Alan is here.
Do we got a camo for you? Beautiful.
Okay, so did you actually do incest or not?
He did.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but your video is like 5 frames a second.
It's getting better.
It's fast on my side.
It's not too bad.
Is there something I can adjust over here?
No, it's getting better. You look about like 20 now. But when you jumped in, you looked about now you're back down to like 10.
We
It looked
can
like
hear
you
you.
had 3 to start off with, but yeah.
I don't know how to account for that.
It's when you stand still and you don't move a lot, it's fine, and then when you move a lot, I think.
Do you
But I
have
mean, that's a
visual
technical
tracking?
problem. Because my camera's working fine.
No, now it's-
I can see myself fine.
Oh, now
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that my Wi-Fi?
I was gonna say it
You're
got
on
better,
Wi-Fi?
but then it didn't.
Probably-
So
No, actually. Oh, I know what it is. Wait. I'm gonna fix this.
Please advise to any and all panelists, hardline Ethernet connection is highly recommended.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I went off it. I just gotta plug it in.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Tech support the stream. Here we are.
my computers, like computers that I build, never have even capability of Wi-Fi. It's always just Ethernet only.
So the annoying thing for me, for people that show up late, is Discord is like not that great for streaming because everybody's faces change spots every time someone, and I like to like set it up kind of fancy, and I don't want to just have a Discord bubble on there. So I try to make a bubble for everybody's face, and then if someone else joins, I have to redo the whole thing. So that's why it looks like this.
It does kind of suck.
I got some help setting mine up, and I have a frame around Discord now. So even if it changes, it's still sort of all in one spot. Tuna Chip graced me with like 4 hours of assistance in making my stream look much, much better than normal.
Hi, Grace.
I am gonna tell you, Elder.
Thank you very
it looks
much.
like you have like the light of God in front of you.
Yeah, I know.
Grace.
The lighting,
looks like
the lighting's
super bright.
next. The lighting is next on the list. But for now, all the OBS stuff looks much, much.
Thank you very, very much for the $2 or $1.50 max.
Screen effect.
Okay.
We
You
got
guys notice
somebody-
Grace didn't say hi to me,
I don't think she could hear you.
bitch.
She wasn't very loyal, was she?
No, bitch.
Who's Grace?
Ben's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jesus.
So okay, we can't hear him.
so your video's fine now. Don't know what
We
happened to your audio.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Ben.
Okay. Doesn't really matter, does it?
Maybe Grace
now I'm
Grace
in,
did
now
say
I'm in.
hi. Maybe Grace did
was
say hi and the
muted.
audio was messed up.
Maybe.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Yes.
Great. So I'm
Um,
good on audio, good on video.
So
Wonderful.
I know pretty much everybody who's here and everybody who would be watching is gonna know who all of you are. Does anybody know who Perspective Philosophy is? He'll be joining us shortly here. He just messaged me.
I
I've
don't.
never interacted with the man.
I know Smith, Lauren. I know of Wick, but I don't think we've ever met. And
Oh, no, we
I
have
don't know
never
the guy in the
interacted.
bottom. I don't know the guy in the bottom left. The Sprouticus.
Sprout's
Nice,
a panel all-star.
nice to meet you, Ben.
Yeah, same.
Stretch.
What do you mean, what's up? Oh, that was before.
Hey Wick, give me like 5 seconds. I'm not Wick. Hey Elder Drazi, give me like 5 seconds. Give me like 5 seconds. I gotta go pick something up real quick, and
Did you
then I'll
just-
be right back.
Did you just do a gang sign?
I
Me?
might have.
The
It's the finger tattoos, right?
Wait,
It makes
no.
it appear.
I thought you just did. I can do it on command. I can do the Bloods, the Bloods gang sign, but
Oh, okay.
Smith, I was just I didn't know who you were, but I watched your part of your video on male sexuality that you did with Elder Drazi.
yeah.
I really liked your point of view. It seemed like you're a sincere guy.
Okay, you seem
and
you
I
seem
look
very
forward to
smart.
having-
You seem very smart, but did you do the incest or not?
Really? He did.
This is what you're known for, okay? So we got to get this out of the room. We're introducing each other, did you pretend?
Follow.
He's really smart.
I'll let Lauren.
He
answer
does
for
sound
me.
smart.
She's my lawyer. She's my
What
attorney.
about him seems smart?
I don't know. When he talks, he's very I don't know if he's like opinions are smart, but he's very articulate.
Am I the only one
I'm
that's having
smart.
trouble
I've
hearing
seen
Ben?
him rage
Just
quit
to be
more
clear, you're
times than
very
I've seen him
low.
finish panels.
Laura.
Lauren. He doesn't even know how to pronounce the name.
Sorry.
Who's low?
Ben is low to me.
Oh, he sounds
He's low to everybody.
comparable to everybody else to me. Ben, can you say something?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
I'll
7,
turn you
8,
up on
9,
my
10,
end. Hold
11,
on.
12.
Yo, thank you very much, Max. I don't have membership set up right now. I could, but I feel like super chats are just better, but I might set them up. I'm thinking about it. I just haven't done it.
Just-
Oh, I didn't unmute.
Definitely had some people on my Twitch that I shouldn't have in the past without realizing it because I'm stupid, and I've been able to make it out without so much as a single warning. So I'd like to keep it that way if at all possible.
And you got to tell me somewhat. I'm familiar with YouTube TOS, although I somewhat violated a lot, but I won't here. But Twitch has different rules. Is that right? Are we on Twitch?
Yeah.
We are on
so no slurs. Try to think. I mean, you can swear, so not like
Like self-harm, you can't talk about.
Yeah.
Or-
Okay,
No.
the F
no talk
slur?
of that.
The big one's gonna be the F slur. Don't say the F slur. It's not allowed on Twitch.
F. Yeah.
Yeah, the bundle of sticks. Okay, none of that.
All right. I look forward to having a rational conversation. I've never had one.
Lauren,
you know you
Tuna says he's on his way in too.
yeah, I
You
can
know-
tell you're fuming already.
Who, Lauren?
Yeah.
I don't think Lauren has any big beef with me.
Hey,
She just
well,
said she doesn't.
She does. Lauren does.
I just don't like. I don't think you're a good person. That's all.
Oh well, yeah. That's left to.
Whatever. Okay, but we can. I mean, you can engage in a conversation.
Yeah, I can have a
It's hard
conversation
in-
with you.
And it's
the
fine
woman
with
in
me
red
if you
is
don't think I'm a person.
Lauren.
Lady in red.
Perspective Philosophy, welcome.
Hey, yeah, sorry I'm late. Yeah, I'm just terrible, really. I have no excuse other than that. I'm
Oh,
useless,
I know
so-
perspective philosophy, don't I?
We have one more coming.
Who
yeah,
are we waiting on?
That's cool.
Well, we're waiting on Tuna. He said he'd be right. He said he'd be here in just a minute.
Okay. Do you want to tell everyone what we're talking about today, or
Yeah.
we just still kibitz in a little bit? I don't know.
Trying to see if I
Your
could.
stream, so.
Trying to see if I could turn down the follower sound. I didn't expect to get so many in rapid succession here. So today we're going to be talking about loyalty. The subject was prompted when I seen a YouTuber who mostly does, as far as I can tell, content about knights and swords and swordsmanship, had a falling out with a collaborator over some of his political takes. After doing a little research, it seemed like a lot of it had to do with his political takes around the Mario movie and getting very upset about stripping Mario of masculinity and defeminizing Peach. And it sort of got more intense as that carried on. And as a result, he's no longer associated with a larger YouTube creator. And it made me wonder, how do we decide who gets our loyalty? Should politics, our personal politics and our public politics, decide who we... Jesus Christ, that's going to be a problem. Should this decide who we interact with and have associations with publicly?
Should our politics decide who we associate with?
Yeah. I gotta make this stop. This is one of the new features here, and it's just so loud.
You can't stop halfway through interruption. You just have to say it smooth for the video, you know, for the stream.
I'd like to. I can't even hear myself talk. It's that
Not
loud.
again,
so I know
man.
it's terrible for the audience.
That's
stop.
why I turn notifications
Yeah,
off. I'm not sure what OBS you're using or whatever, but I turn all notification sounds. I just turn them off.
Yeah,
I
look,
can't
like,
hear
look,
them.
yeah,
I don't know.
feel free to start
I don't
again
hear it.
anyway. Look, like if like it's no problem.
I
It's
can't
genuine
hear
no problem.
them. If I don't know if anyone
You can't
else.
hear anybody else?
No.
No, I can't hear
No,
the
no.
notifications.
Yeah, none of us can hear your notifications. So.
Yeah. Let's see, follows.
We can all hear each other.
There we go. Okay, I muted that. Okay, so yeah, I guess perspective philosophy. If you weren't here yet, so there was a tweet made from a content creator. I don't want to use their name, but they had cut ties. A collaborator of them had cut ties with them over some of their political opinions, and as a result of it was less their political opinions, but they were getting a lot of messages about the person and their political takes. So they said, okay, I'm cutting ties with this creator. And they had been longtime collaborators. And it made me wonder, who do we owe loyalty to in this political climate? Obviously, sometimes our associations can cost us certain business opportunities. It can cost us some social capital by remaining loyal to those that we've had like longtime friendships with, coworkers, people even in our family. It seems like sometimes people use politics as a reason to cut ties with them. So it makes me wonder, how do we value loyalty? And I assume Tuna's going to be here soon. So I think we're pretty good to start. And then we'll just get him to do his introduction towards the end here. In the specific instance that I had mentioned in the tweet, this was an example of perfect. Tuna's here.
How are we doing?
Oh, we're gonna
Thanks,
turn you
Tuna.
down. That's what
Hi,
we're
Tuna.
gonna do.
It's a reasonable
Turn you
choice.
down. You're blowing out my eardrums here.
That's
buddy.
a 70% voice.
We should probably start. We should probably get into the introductions.
Yeah.
We should probably. My chat's yelling at me.
I was gonna say
My chat's like, "What is this shit?" My chat's
Yeah.
like, "Let's go." So
Yeah.
we should probably get that
you always
going.
do is what your chat tells you. I don't do anything my chat tells me.
Get going.
My
You
chat
go-
gets
you-
my
I
money.
agree.
You
Starting
spoil
with
them
Ben,
and
go
they'll
ahead and
have you.
introduce yourself. I
My
have
name is Ben Thorpe, aka Abel on YouTube. I'm also on Twitter, but I usually stream with in my daughter's channel, which is Grace Thorpe, aka Joan, on YouTube. I like to talk about actual issues, but we've done a lot of family drama. And I think my main wheelhouse has been, although I don't love it, is a Mr. Girl type provocateurishness about sexual issues.
I'm trying not to say anything, but like,
Wait,
okay, can I just quickly
what?
check? Did you, right? Okay, this is just quickly, just with the there's accusations against
Yeah.
you, right? And the only reason I know this is because I got told this just before the stream, and I have no idea about any of these. I don't want to like repeat slander because I don't know whether
It's not
they
slander.
are.
It's not
But go ahead,
slander.
repeat. Go ahead and
fine.
repeat it.
Have
That
you
way we all know
fucked
what
your
you're talking about.
daughter?
Yeah. Did you do it?
All right, okay.
Yeah,
That's
you
can
did.
answer-
yeah,
I
that's
can
okay.
answer-
Okay, well, it's been asked now. Did you fuck your daughter though? Okay.
Okay, so if we want to do this, that's okay to do.
I'm
what
gonna
have
be
to
real with you.
say-
I don't.
This
I
this
wanted
could
to
segue
do the
into the
topic.
topic. This actually can
Just so you
segue
know,
into the topic.
I didn't talk about this. I did not bring this up.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have muted all of my notification sounds. This was part of the new setup. It was horrible. I couldn't hear anything.
Oh my gosh.
This was trial and error.
Hey.
It looked better, and now it's all going to sound better. I did catch the essence of what's going on here.
The
Um,
essence?
Is the
yeah.
question
Something
being asked
got
or not?
loud.
Because now I'm curious.
Sorry.
Is the question
No,
being asked or
that's
not?
too
Because
dumb.
now I'm curious.
No,
Okay,
we
look,
can
but
move
this-
Hey, listen.
No, but
It's a
seriously, no, I
panel
need to
all
know.
about, it's a panel about loyalty. It's a panel about keeping it in the family. Let's keep it 100 for a moment and just move on to the first question.
No, right. Look.
He
we
is
can't
very
make-
loyal and he definitely keeps it in the family, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
no. I look. I don't like. Look, this is going to be bedlam, absolute bedlam, right? I need a yes or no answer. Did you fuck your daughter?
Yeah. Just give us an answer.
I don't owe you that.
You know,
Oh
okay,
my
that's
God,
fair.
what do you
That's
mean?
fair. That is
You
fair.
owe
That is
us
fair.
self
That is fair. But the reason I'm
No, my
the reason
answer would be I fuck your mother. Okay, so but like if we want to do that,
But it's
then we
not like
can do
I'm
that.
making up this
But if you
accusation,
want-
right?
if you
Like
want
I
me
would
to
just
give-
say,
Okay, but if
apparently,
you're gonna bring something like that up, you can
I
give me 30
didn't- no,
seconds, and I'll
all
just.
I said-
Okay, but I'm just saying, don't tell me I owe you a yes or no answer.
You
I'm
don't-
not
you-
on
you
no-
don't-
It should be a clear no, though.
but
witness
but
stand.
the reason I brought it up is like if I'm like on a stream and it's like a professional setting and stuff, and there's like accusation like that, like it should be like brought up. I don't want to just like pretend that that if you're talking to Bill
I don't
Cosby
mind you
and you
bringing
don't
it
talk
up, I'm
about
just asking for 30
Yeah,
seconds
exactly.
to
Wait,
answer,
Ben,
to answer
can
in a
you
way that I
explain-
think is.
Can
Just
you
give him his 30
explain why your
seconds.
Oh, do I
son-
get 30 seconds or no? I
Just
get,
give
like,
us-
an
give-
Okay,
just give
amount
us 30
of-
seconds.
If everybody needs him to answer this question to have this conversation on this panel, then I think it's only fair to let him answer.
yeah.
Okay. My daughter is 20 years old. I have publicly said that I have, of course, I have said that I have never, ever touched her inappropriately in any way, shape, or form. She has also publicly stated that I have never, ever touched her in any inappropriate way. She's never been a victim of abuse in any other way. I do think that should answer your question, but then there is an additional theory which I would ask you to ask yourself whether this is possible, that someone can for 5 years brainwash an adult into either not believing that she had the experiences she's had for 5 years, or denying that she's had those experiences when she's free to leave or say anything she wants. And I'll leave it to you. If you believe that that's possible, then I have nothing to say to you.
I have a
I
question.
think you want people to think you did
Can
it.
I ask a question? Can I ask a
No,
question?
look at it like this. Look, I'm at this point.
Wait,
Right?
I have a question, Ben. Did you
Yes,
or
my
did you
dear.
not have, or why did your son tell Darius that he had seen message exchanges between you and
He
your
did.
daughter
Yeah.
in which you said that you were orally graped by your daughter?
That's not true.
Look,
He didn't say that.
I don't know about any. This is going to turn straight into slander,
What
right?
do you mean? That's on
He's
tape.
look, like the way I see it, right? As far as I'm concerned, I don't know fucking anything about this. So in terms of my brand and my social appearance with the guy, I'm taking him the benefit of the doubt. I'll say innocent until proven guilty. He's saying he didn't do it. Unless the police are involved, I don't really give a fuck. So I'm happy to stay on the panel. If it turns out he did it, I think you're a piece of shit. If it turns out you didn't do it, I'm very sorry about the accusation. And yeah, that's me for that. I just want to make my position clear.
To it, so, in order to have this theory, you'd have to have this view of human nature, which is impossible to hold. But,
no, I mean people do abuse that children and stuff. Look, that's separate, right? Like just fucking.
In what world is the accuser of a crime accused? The person who's accused of being the victim of the crime denies it. The crime goes on for 5 years, and the person who is the victim of the crime is free to speak or leave the situation, but doesn't.
Okay.
I don't care.
Okay.
All
Look,
the time, familial abuse and sexual abuse.
Moderate your
the
panel.
question was answered.
Oh my gosh.
The question was answered. If anybody finds that they cannot handle the answer that was given and they would like to remove themselves, feel free to do so. Otherwise, I would like to give Lauren a chance to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I am on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram on under the moniker Lauren De Laguna. I have a law degree and I passed the bar, and I also have a math degree, and I like to, discuss various things, including education, politics, and relationships.
Impressive resume. Thank you very much, Lauren. Thanks for being here. Perspective philosophy. Really appreciate you being here. I think most people don't know who you are, so if you want to let them know where to find you too, by all means, please do.
Yeah, so I'm Perspective Philosophy on YouTube and Twitch and pretty much YouTube though. I do philosophy. Yeah, I'm very interested in politics, and a panel like this is interesting because when we're talking about loyalty and trust, I think it brings it down to core political virtues and start thinking about, well, what is a good life and what is a good political life? Obviously, in the contemporary climate that we're in today, that's being tested. There's propaganda everywhere. People are likely to jump ship from one political party to another on the basis of non-factual information. And even both political parties can be said to be engaged in information wars in the United States. And on top of that, we'll have a global situation which is getting worse and worse, and maybe even escalated to an absolute new high just as this panel began. So if you haven't seen that, Russia's trying to annex maybe part of NATO's waters in the Black Sea. So we're seeing like a very tense political situation, and the question of who should you trust and why, I think, could not come at a better time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Smeth, if you want to introduce yourself.
Real Smeth on YouTube. I titled my stream, I titled it Conformity and Loyalty and Conformity, because I think a big aspect of this is we want people to conform to us. Like in a personal capacity, like I don't see any reason to not like be loyal to people even if you have different opinions, but the reason not to is because you want them to conform to whatever you think. In a professional capacity, it can be different, and like that's why I was saying that we could like transition the other conversation to this one, but like there's no reason to cut someone off because they think something, or even if they're like a bad person. It's like, yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Smeth. The Sprouticus. It's a pleasure to get to invite you to a panel instead of just seeing you on one at the same time as me. Please introduce yourself.
Hey, I appreciate it, Drowsy. I am the Sprouticus. You can find me at twitch.tv/thespraticus or twitter.com/thespraticus. I am Twitch's favorite wild card. People love to hate me and hate to love me and change their minds all the time.
Thank you very much, short and sweet. Tuna Chip.
What's going on? I'm deep in the cave. I'm plumbing the world for its secrets. I'm trying to figure out what exactly we're even talking about. I've been searching down here for Al Qaeda for about 16 hours, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be down here for another 16.
Thank you very much, Tuna Chip. And finally, a man who obviously needs no introductions. Probably the most popular panel host around right now, Wick. Go ahead and introduce yourself anyway.
You flatter me, and I appreciate it. Wick, I host Wick TV. It's a political and cultural talk show on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. And I'm excited and eager to talk about loyalty today. Loyalty both to the individual, to the values one may hold, and what that means and how that manifests in our interactions on a personal level and also overall. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm excited. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. Okay, we're gonna start off in reverse order because I think it's weird when they always go in the same order. So given the specific tweet that I had mentioned, it seemed like the differences were caused by business implications derived from political ideologies. At what point do you guys think it's okay to cut someone off due to political differences, if ever? It can be with or without business involved. Wick, go ahead and start us off.
Sure. So my loyalty is not to ideology. It's not to an idea. Someone can have very terrible ideas that I strongly disagree with. It's behavior that makes the cut for me. I have known people who I strenuously disagree with on a wide variety of political and cultural issues, but I still both share trust and feel loyalty towards them because of their behavior towards me and towards those around them. We tend to do this thing where we make a lot of assumptions based on the ideology that we think that the other party has or some positions that they may hold, that this will somehow inevitably lead to them behaving in certain ways. And I think that's just false and wrong, and we are cutting people off and isolating ourselves and in reciprocally radicalizing each other through this constant purity testing that we're doing. I'm very much against cutting people off because they happen to be on a different side of a political issue than I am. Now, obviously, there are lines. If someone is a no shit Nazi, that's different. But when we're just talking about most political differences, I think it's silly to cut. We owe people more than that, than to simply say, "Oh, you voted for Trump in the last election, I'm kicking you out of my house, or I'm never having you on again." So yeah, that's my stance. That's what I think.
Thank you for that. Tuna.
Hey, I think that loyalty is overrated generally. I think that your number one service is to you yourself. Your secondary service is to whatever gives your life purpose, and everything else falls in a linear fashion from that. So the reason that people care about being loyal to their family being loyal to them, it's pretty much exclusively because they think that without their family, their life would be meaningless. I don't think that these are like higher values. And frankly, I don't think that anybody can avoid betraying these like ideas. When if a gun gets to your head, it's going to become really quick that you do have like a biological thing going on more than ever. So I don't understand wanting to live in a world where people categorize themselves strictly by these political lines. I think that that's a worse world, but I also understand why people behave the way that they do once that world already exists. I don't know what the solution is, but I don't think that people have to become a martyr to the concept of loyalty just so that they don't get, oh no, I've been swallowed up by the political apparatus, but I have to die like a martyr. It's silly to me. That's pretty much the intro to my position, though.
Thank you very much, Tuna. Sprout, how do you feel about this?
I think that having loyalty to a political party enough to remove family or friends or even political ideations enough to remove family or friends is it just adds to the tribalism we already have. It adds to the tribalistic culture we have that we are the good people and they are the evil ones, which we need to get away from. I've consistently said I don't want another 9/11, but I would kill for another 9/12. I want America to be one again. I want us to see us each other as Americans, not as left, not as right, not as black, not as white, but as Americans. And when we do that, if most often we see that we can actually get shit done. But when we're playing this right left game or the race game or the class game, it doesn't matter what game we're playing. We're playing these types of games. It's a lot harder to get shit done. And I'm for the progress of America, not the backtrack of America. So I think that Americans should see each other as Americans and fight as Americans instead of creating enemies from within.
Wonderful. Smith, what do you think about this?
I think I have no problem being loyal to people. I do have a problem being loyal to like groups and ideas. I think everybody is almost like expected to be like vetting ideas themselves. Like just loyalty is almost anti like thought. But I think there's another aspect to this where like that's behind the surface, where I think that when we want to cut people off and stuff, we don't believe people are actually saying what they mean. And so if you say something and it kind of hints, oh, that sounds like this group, I think you're secretly a Nazi. I think you're secretly one of them. And nobody's actually like honest about what they actually think. So you have to kind of guess at what everybody's thinking. So I think that the most dangerous people, like ideologically and politically, are people who are always lying. You can never trust what they're saying as truth. I trust everybody that actually says what they believe. I think that your political beliefs and your policy beliefs and prescriptive beliefs are they all have an underpinning of values that we all generally have commonalities about. So we all generally want the same outcomes, but we think that different things will reach those outcomes. Some people have different values but those values are still underpinned by even smaller things. You think that this will cause well-being in some way. So there's always a commonality to fall down on, but if you're lying about what you actually think, then there's nothing. There's no connection to be had.
So, loyalty through honesty. Perspective philosophy.
I mean, I like the loyalty through honesty. That's pretty good. I like the way I see it is that loyalty is really just the sort of devotion of an individual to a cause. And if we see, or a specific ideological end, right? Or end in general. And I think that the only thing that you should be 100% devoted to, right, as a Christian is, I'm going to say, God. Now, as someone who could then say it more secularly, you could say truth, right? You should be devoted to truth. You should be devoted to goodness. You should be devoted to justice, right? And so, unlike what you've just said, I do actually think we should be loyal to ideas. I think that the ideas or the ideals that we should be loyal to are separate from any given group or ideological stance, and even a group of people. There's times when you can be loyal to people who are going to abuse your loyalty, take advantage of your loyalty. I think that ultimately, when we're looking at political ideology today, there should be a point in which you say, actually, I'm going to cut someone off because what they are essentially trying to achieve, what they are doing, what they are saying is harmful to me, it's harmful to others. I've tried reasoning with them, and maybe I've tried reasoning with them collectively and engaged with some friends and family. And if there comes to a point in which they will not listen to reason, I wouldn't say never speak to them again or anything like that. But at a more social level, maybe keep some distance between you, try and help them if you can. But understand that some people will also be bad, and that bad people can't be 100% there in your life. Likewise, try to do your best not to be one of those people, right? It's very easy for us to think and point the finger at the other side and go, oh, they're clearly the ones that are wrong. But I think ultimately it's something that affects all of us, and many of us become ideological sort of puppets quite quickly. So yeah, that's sort of where I'd say it. Be loyal to sort of strong, virtuous ideals.
All right, thank you very much. Lauren, you're up.
Yeah, I find the concept of loyalty to ideas to be really interesting. You should, I believe, tell the truth in all respects to the best of your ability. So if your understanding of what the truth is shifts and that changes some of your core understanding of a different ideal, I don't think you should be loyal to what you had previously said. Um, that being said, I do think there is something to be said about being loyal to a cause in terms of, sacrificing personal gain or sacrificing benefits that you may incur for the promotion of a cause or in order to further a cause or an ideology that you are loyal to. Um, and then my final thought on this is when it comes to loyalty from people over ideology. So, for instance, um, being a conservative, does this mean I had to cut off liberal friends? I feel as though you could be loyal to people in spite of whatever ideologies you have. Just because you have two separate ideologies doesn't mean that you're being disloyal to your faith or your ideology simply because you're friends with people who disagree with you. That being said, I know sometimes it's difficult when you're in a space in which people will ostracize you for having your ideologies. That's when it's important to be, I guess, loyal to truthfulness. So, yeah, be loyal to truthfulness and be loyal to those people that you care about and hope that those people treat you with the same amount of loyalty.
Thank you very much. Ben, what do you think about loyalty?
Yeah. Seems to me like a lot of people here are trying to say, is it personal or is it sort of ideals that we're connected with? I would say the two are combined in the person of Jesus Christ, who was the King of truth, God who is truth, and with whom we're also invited to have a relationship. So I would say that I would hope that I would be absolutely loyal to my Heavenly Father and the church that He set up, the Catholic Church, which is imperfect in its members, but a wonderful gift. I think a lot of the bullshit that goes on online is all this speculation. It's nonsense. I think it's much easier to just ask the question of whether, like, it's actually not that difficult, and a lot of our speculations are a waste of time. And that this formula that I have, which is a gift to me, is a lot easier way to negotiate things. In individual circumstances, who do you talk to, who do you don't? It's called the virtue of prudence to figure out what makes sense. And there's no like rule to it.
Okay.
I think at the end of the day, there was a pretty famous poet, Shakespeare, in one of his plays. And one of the lines is, "To thine own self be true. And if you are, so follows you cannot be false to any man." And I think that that rings true when it comes to loyalty. Being true and loyal to yourself is something you have to do before you can actually be loyal to anyone else at all. And a lot of people, I find, in this space and otherwise, aren't loyal to themselves. They, because they fear the reaction of others, because they fear what other people will think, they betray themselves. They betray themselves. They betray what they think. They betray what they believe. They go with the flow when they really shouldn't. And I think that loyalty to values and to yourself and to your own values is something that separates the loyal from the disloyal more than anything else. And I think that translates to politics because we tend to get a lot of our values from what our political beliefs are, right? Rather than the other way around, which I think we should. Rather than allowing what our values are to kind of guide us towards what political party or what politician we should follow or vote for, a lot of the times we are like, oh, I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican, so of course I should vote this way. And I think that's ass backwards. I think it's putting the cart before the horse. But I don't know if that's a where we want to go with this, but that's what I was thinking while I was
Wh-
hearing everyone else talk.
Well, I just want to sort of comment on that. I think that I see that there is a definite virtue in being true to yourself and true to your convictions. I think that's like a commendable trait. But I think that there's I think a lot of also of what we see is a sort of vice of excess in that trait where people are overconfident about their positions. People are over invested, overly considerate of their own self and not what other people are thinking, to the point in which they become like ideologues and partisans, right? Like so, to thyself be true, yeah, I guess. But when I'm happy to accept that, but it depends on what the self is. It depends on how we understand what is in our own interests. And I think Zizek pointed out recently that a really good point where he basically just, flipped Marx on his head. Marx thinks psychological alienation of within capitalism is a bad thing, and I don't necessarily disagree, right? But the point is that alienation is bad. But you can look at alienation as a positive thing. Sometimes people are actually assholes, and they need to be alienated from themselves. And once they become disjointed away from their corrupt and destitute consideration of others and how they think they should live their lives, whether it's like hedonistically, politically orientated, like ideologically, maybe they're twisted and like political, fucking, what is it like sort of religious fundamentalist like crazies or something. There could be loads of different things that might be corrupting them as a person, which when they engage politically or socially might be absolutely cancerous. And if they're true to that self, maybe that'll be that'll be the worst thing for them.
I get what you're saying. I understand. When I say that, I mean more towards. So yes, one can have bad values. I think that like if you value simply growth at any cost, greed at any cost, hedonism and things like that, yes, it can hurt others. But I guess I have a little more faith in people. Most people aren't like that. Most people don't want to hurt others. Most people don't want to betray others. Most people, yeah, I really do believe this, want to be good people as they understand it. And so I think through that lens, that while yes, there are assholes out there, there are psychopaths, there are people who absolutely need to be ostracized. I think for the most of us, I don't think that's the case.
See, here's the issue. Here's the slight issue, and I'll go into this and I'll hit a little bit of what Ben said in his opening. But the issue I see with what you're talking about, Wick, is I think that most people do try to be good people. They try to be good people. Unfortunately, there's a different good for each person, and then other people are very sensitive. And so they take like what people do as a personal offense to them, and then they feel like, oh, this person's wronged me. And I feel like today we've let grudges go entirely too far, to where we're just willing to cast people out of our lives for a seemingly wrong that you never even talked to them about because you viewed it as wrong and they should have apologized and you shouldn't have had to bring it up. Like I've seen this over and over and over again in real life. This isn't something that's like uncommon in society. It's extremely common in society that people do this. In regards to Ben's opening, see, I think that when you go about the world the way you're saying you go about the world, right? I think you're living in la la land. I really fucking think you do, because this separates people at dinner. This separates people at dinner tables. This separates people that don't even know each other because they're wearing a fucking hat. This isn't just terminally online. This separates people at family dinner tables. This separates people at a workplace, so much so that at workplaces they've made it to where you can't talk about politics inside the workplace. This is a very divisive issue. And you can't just say, oh, it's not divisive, and then ta-da, it's not divisive. That's not the way this works.
I'm sorry, are you referring to what I said?
I'm referring to what you said, Ben, yes.
What aspect of it?
The aspect that you the aspect that you're saying, the way you think people should live lives, etc., and so on, is that basically you shouldn't take things personally, etc., and so on. Go ahead and give your opening if you want to again, but from the opening, that's where I pulled that idea from. Is that it's in a la la land. Like, this divides people at dinner tables. It divides people at work. This divides people, and your ideology about this.
Saying that people shouldn't take things personally. But how would that divide? I don't even know what you're talking about. Are you?
My impression of what
your opening statement.
My impression of what he said was Jesus.
Yeah, that's what I got from it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got
big Christian.
Catholicism. and
Yeah, it was just the word
God.
Jesus.
From what-
again and
for-
again.
from-
I don't know
from
what you're
my
dancing
understand-
around, Sprout.
So from my understanding, there was I kind of looked past the Jesus stuff, but from my understanding, there was a thought process, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But there was a thought process behind it that this is a much better way to look at life. If everyone looked at life this way, et cetera, and so on, that we wouldn't have this divisiveness.
I mean, if everyone
and
was
so-
Catholic, no. If
Yeah,
everyone was
basically.
Catholic,
Yeah,
no.
that's
If
right.
everyone
Yeah, I
was
would say
Catholic,
that's fine. Yeah.
Well,
if
hold
everyone
on.
was Catholic,
Okay.
it would be a better
So it's
world.
La
Yeah,
La Land.
100%. No.
But
Yeah,
hold
no,
on.
no.
There's something
Best
within
ideology, 100%.
Christianity.
You
Within
can call it whatever you want.
Christianity,
Yeah, that's fine.
if you want to respond, Ben, you absolutely should. But like, I think within Christianity is a framework for like being open and accepting and forgiving of people. So I think that the framework that a lot of us are actually putting forward actually kind of exists within Christianity. So I think I'm not sure, but it probably lines up with that in some capacity.
Oh,
Let's
Christianity
flip
would
it on its
offer-
head. Let's flip it on its head. Maybe it exists because of Christianity, because you're all, as you know, Jordan Peterson would say, you're all Judeo-Christians, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the.
You're just bad.
Oh, if
Christians.
Jesus if Jesus were alive today, he wouldn't be allowed inside the church. Well, without a shadow of a doubt, he would be allowed inside the church.
What, when you say
And I
Jesus,
say
Catholic,
I say church.
Oh,
I
is
say
this
church.
religious
I say
debate
I say
now?
church with
Okay.
the big. I say church with the big C. So like I'm talking about the global church, not necessarily the local church. But he wouldn't be allowed inside the church.
But you're the one
I'm
dividing
already
him right now.
whining.
You're the one ousting him, but he's not ousting you. You know what I mean? So you're actually doing the thing you're saying that he believes, like, and espouses. You're doing that thing right now.
No, I'm saying it's La La Land. I'm also a Christian, by the way, so it's not like I'm pointing out a flaw in the church that was brought up by
Sure.
somebody else trying to subsidize it to the Catholic
Are
Church. I'm
you
saying it's
in
the entire
church?
church.
Just
Are
really
you
quick.
part of the church
Just
or
really
no?
quick.
Yes, I
Just
am.
for the sake of discussion.
Okay, so would he be allowed in your church?
If I was in charge of it, yes.
Okay, but you are part of the church, right?
Just for the
Okay,
sake
we're
of
not getting into this.
discussion here.
This is.
Right.
I was good. I was already
Idiotic.
shit. I was. Already,
We're not
The
getting into this.
theologians have bored me to death. Nothings.
Ben, we can have an argument about what church means later. This is not the stage to have an argument what church means. You know exactly what I meant when I said I was using a capital C with church. So we're not going to dig into
I
this.
do know what.
But
Well, if I have to listen to
so
a
then-
Protestant
so
with a
then you're literally-
do-rag
so you're
on say
literally-
another
so you're-
sentence,
so
Jesus
you're literally-
Christ,
so
Wick, say
you're literally-
something.
So you're
But
literally
I-
just
but
straw
I-
manning.
But I would like to get back to this thing about like be true to yourself. I would just offer that the patrimony of the church, which you all in some ways recognize, is that there's a distinction between the false self and the true self, or the original man and the redeemed man, and that would be that there's a tension in the human project. I do think that we are not oriented, like the church would say, we are not oriented towards the good, and this enlightenment lie that we're all like good people is just not true. Look at the past 100 years of human
I don't
history.
think the
but
church
that
would
there
say
is
we're not.
Don't you think
Wait,
that
wait, wait,
that
wait,
don't
wait,
you
wait,
think
wait. Sorry,
It's obvious.
sorry, Tuna, go on. I think sorry.
Don't you think that the reason that people are in that though is because everybody is operating on the idea that their ideological commitment is the ideological commitment. No one's willing to budge. Like there's no sameness. That's the reason that you have people, I would say, being bad is because they're more committed to ideas than the ideas in this very narrow sense than some kind of values,
Your
morals.
theory of what we would traditionally call original sin is that original sin comes from sectarianism or polarization.
Sure.
The church would say no, that's not true because children experience it.
Okay,
Um,
so do you think? So
No,
I would
no,
really
do-
like to hear.
So do you think? Do you think?
Sprout,
More
I'll let you
fundamental.
respond, but then I'd really like to hear what Wick had to say. The beginning of it kind of had me pulled in. So Sprout, you can respond, then we'll go to Wick. And if you guys want to revisit where you're at, by all means.
Okay.
I just don't want to get
so-
too far.
Ben, with what you're saying is like there's one true good, which I mean, if you're Christian, you believe that. But we're looking at society as a whole, right? So as society as a whole, there's not one true good to the entirety of society. There's many different types of good. Such as, do you think that any person who's committed like mass genocide thought they were doing an evil thing? No, if you look at most of them, they thought they were doing a good thing. If you look at terrorists, do you think they thought they were doing an evil thing? No, if you look at the mass majority of them, they thought they were doing the good thing. The good is a very subjective and not objective truth when you're looking at society, and you can't just try and make it objective and then try and have that be the basis of what you're saying when you know the rest of us are talking about the subjective good.
We are far down a path. I want to try to ground us once more. And I have a question for everyone here. At what point do you cut someone out? Like, for me, I'll answer the question first. For me, when you demonstrate that you can't be trusted, that's when I will cut you off. I will segregate myself from you. I will say, okay, I can't trust you, so I'm going to put you in this box over here. I'll be cordial to you. I'll be respectful to you. I may even be friendly towards you, but we are not friends. I can no longer trust you. When someone is intentionally cruel to others, I will also separate them. So at what point, like what behaviors or what ideas can someone have that you're like, okay, no, I'm no longer loyal to this person. I'm cutting you off. I'm curious. What are you thinking?
When I view someone as a danger, I typically give more leniency than I think most should, and more than I should, to be 100% honest. I have something akin to a savior's complex, to where I'm willing to do a lot for other people for very little in return. But I basically, when I cut somebody off, is when I view them as a danger to not even to myself, but to those around me, to people that I love, or to danger to like innocent people. That's when I cut them off, is when I view them as a danger.
I just want to point out we do have another guest here. Do you want to turn on your camera so that way the audience can also see you? If you can't, that's okay.
Stardust, welcome.
But
no, I'm curious. I'm curious to Tuna. Like, Tuna, when do you cut someone off?
I cut people off whenever they no longer contribute more value to my life. The same reason anybody cuts anybody off. If I think that somebody is not interesting, if I think that somebody is not going to enrich my life, I've got limited time and on this earth left. I'm prioritizing the things that are going to make it better. Some people...
Would you do that to your mom? If your mom was no longer interesting to you?
I'm estranged from my family. I don't have a choice in that matter.
That's where all this comes from.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
you would say
a man
that.
could only dream of being estranged from his family. Fucking hell. My God, my life would be so much easier. Man, why wouldn't they just cut me off? Oh, well,
I don't trust any of you people. You've all betrayed my trust.
Even me?
Especially you.
Oh.
Oh, God.
you're a fucking banana. What the fuck?
I don't condone that.
That was a few too many inches of banana.
What?
You're betraying all of our trust right now.
Okay, now that the potassium retrograde has happened. Oh my God.
What do you mean by that, Tuna?
What do I mean by that? You don't look very appealing right now.
Oh, really?
Is that a pun?
You look like you're a mess.
Do you exist for your appeal?
You're a mess, Dust. You're a mess.
Maybe you're a mess.
I don't really know what genre we're in at this point.
Yeah.
Childhood was a mess.
You fuck your daughter, so you know.
Why? No. We're not going back there. Fuck that.
We are going
It took
back
this
there.
long to get here. You don't get to come in here and
Down, but
go
it's
back to the start.
my daughter.
You were late.
Stardust.
Get
You're
lost,
clipping
man.
We did all
so
make an
bad.
agreement.
Get lost.
We're only getting
We all made an
50%
agreement
of your
at the beginning of this.
accusation.
If you have not fucked your daughter, this sucks, dude.
Exactly, man. You look. This
Stardust,
has to end
you
here.
came in, you tried something. It
Oh,
sucked.
I
Get
understand.
lost, bitch.
Oh,
Listen,
But also,
Wick
I
asked
think
a really interesting question, which was
we're not
on
trying
my.
to be controversial here. What's going on? Can we get
Come in,
away
Elder,
from the
because
drama?
it doesn't work,
Elder,
and you
We're
go to
on
the
Twitch.
pig.
What do you
hear
think?
Pig.
Elder,
Get
Elder,
lost.
take
Anybody
control.
here?
Elder,
Yeah.
show us why we need political authority, please.
Wick asked a really interesting question to Tuna Chip and to everybody. In fact, I think it's so interesting, it's in my notes. So, maybe if anybody else would like to answer how you personally decide to cut people out when your loyalty runs out to another person.
I think that
I find it really interesting that Tuna Chip's answer was as soon as they stop serving me purpose, because then that's literally the definition of not having any loyalty for anyone, because
narcissist.
loyalty is staying with someone despite maybe they're in a period of time where they're not serving you any benefit, you're remaining loyal to them in their moments of need. That's like, if
That's a
you
test
don't
of
do that
loyalty.
for anyone,
Yeah.
as soon as they stop being benefit to you, that's not being loyal at all. If you're only around people who are a benefit to you, then you don't have loyalty. You're just
well, unless
using
you say
people.
you-
That being said, it sounds like Tuna Chip has gone through a lot in his life. I can't imagine being estranged from my
Oh my
parents. or my
god,
family.
the fucking alligator tears. I disagree with your disagree with your premise that that you think that you don't operate that way seems deceptive to me.
This is the thing about
Because
tuna.
Everybody that oh my god. Okay, Smith, don't go into
I'm
your
not gonna
autism
be
rant
fair.
about me having an autism rant.
No, okay, you
Wait, go ahead.
like
Hold
I've
on,
had
Tina,
I've had
finish.
this disagreement with him before, and he'll reframe it. He'll be like, no, actually, you agree with me, and he'll like the way he's saying he'll be like, we're all actually transactional, and like he'll reframe
Show
it
not
like,
tell. Let me have a conversation. Why are you talking about me in front of me?
do
Jesus
Go ahead,
Christ.
Tina.
No,
ahead,
it's
Tina.
okay. Like I'm because I'm asking that I don't believe for a second that you wouldn't cut somebody off if they're no longer useful to you. The reason that you're holding on to people in your life, the reason that you think that those people is because you think that your relationship to them is fulfilling for your life. If you thought that it was no longer, you have other people you're committed to having a fulfilling moment with instead. Are you going to like okay, take the instance of somebody who professionally is associated with somebody that they shouldn't be according to the political cabal, and they let go of contact with that person because their livelihood is on the line. Their child matters more. Their child matters more. So putting food on the table matters more. So fuck you. I'm going to disassociate from you.
What if your
Even
child-
if I like you?
Tuna, what if your child is the one that's everyone's telling you to cut off? You have a child, a son, a daughter, whatever, and they have been accused of something terrible. There's a lot of social pressure. There's a lot of pressure at your work. There's a lot of pressure from outside forces. By remaining true to your son or daughter, you are going to take a financial hit. You're going to take a social hit. You're going to take a hit from your community. They're just going to view you as a terrible person, etc. I think many, if not all, but many mothers and fathers would remain loyal to their kid, even if they take that financial hit.
Do you know
Even
why,
if
though, Wick?
They take this.
Do you know why, Wick? Because their life is defined by that person. That person is the reason that they're alive. So the allegations, money matters less. There are two values here, and you might not like this one. This one where it's like only the things that matter most should be prioritized above all other things. But this value you do agree with. The reason why I would say that you should do it is because there is a higher value, and you are sacrificing those things towards that higher value. I would assume you would agree that, because most people, this is not contestable, your loved ones are the highest value in life. Everything should be sacrificed for them. That's a point of connection with me. But if you're not honest about it, like, that's why people disassociate from people almost always, is that it's their family or their own like potential to raise a family or protect a family. I'm gonna disassociate from anything if it's gonna keep my child alive. I'm gonna disassociate from anything if it's gonna keep me alive.
But like what you're talking about is people doing that duty, right? So you're talking about people doing the right thing and in relation to the people that they care about. Well, what if you have like, and I kind of get where you're coming from. It seems to be like it's not even like a basic like sort of psychological egoism. Like what you're saying seems to be that, you know, people care about other people necessarily, even to just be a person. Like I get that. That seems to I vibe with that. I think that's really good. But I think there is an issue there in which it's a kind of closed group of people where I think that we see ourselves not in a specific person like a family member and stuff like that. I think we see ourselves in a concept, in a relation between people, to the point in which that if we have a family member that commits murder or rape or like, you know, does something fucking evil, we'd sooner say you're not my son than go I'm going to defend them. And I think that tells us more about how we form psychologically in relation to others than anything else. I don't think that it has to be boiled down to you can't be loyal to you know, more grandiose ideology or like ideals, because I think a lot of the time we are, like, if it comes to the point in which someone will actually cut off a relative when they
whatever
do
the
something
threshold
obscene.
is, whatever the threshold is for people, like, I mean, I would think that if my child is Ted Bundy, I would break it off. If my child is Brock Turner, I probably would feel really, really bad about what you've done. I would have a talk in, but I would feel like I'm still useful towards there are degrees of like social repudiation, probably. It has to do with whether or not I think that the person is innocent. If I get to the point where I think that I am no longer, and that means the relationship between me and my child is no longer able to save them from the bad things they're doing, maybe cutting off is good then. Like if I'm retired and he's like a drug lord, I'm going to tell the people at the front desk, do not let my son in. But if it's just like a guy that makes a mistake, somebody's a little rude, or somebody gets called a Nazi because they're like a Trump supporter or something, and then they get doxxed and suddenly I have to disassociate or associate, I'm probably going to stay associated in that instance because I think that my relationship is purpose bringing to both me and them. I just don't believe this idea, though, that there aren't like priorities to be made. And that's the real reason that these people are making these choices and cutting off. Like this whole thing's based on the stupid fucking Knight Sword community on YouTube. The Sword community on YouTube splitting up over political drama because one of them's conservative. Big shocker, medieval themed fucking content, conservative. The reason that he's disassociating from him, though, is because like it's a small community with a small amount of views and a small amount of attention. You're going to want to take all of the trans views inside of that community, all the people who are like knife interested but aren't conservative, and say, hey, this is the channel you go to if you want to know for. That's like what the virtue signaling is always about. Yeah. This is the place to land. This is where to go if you want to be the counterculture within the counterculture.
Look, okay, this is where
Oh, go ahead, Smash.
This is where I disagree with you. Okay, especially it becomes especially apparent when you're talking about kids. But so that's the example I use. It's most extreme with kids and to a lesser degree with everybody. I feel like I'm responsible in part for the people around me, 100% for my kid. So if my kid is Ted Bundy, I feel like if your kid is Ted Bundy and you cut them off, like you're responsible for that kid being Ted Bundy to a like large degree. There's no way that you're not connected to that person's outcome in some way becoming Ted Bundy. So for you to just cut them off after like having that impact on them in some capacity, like that's I see as immoral. And to some lesser degree, we have an impact on all the people around us. So if people around us are bad people, if they change into bad people, then for us to cut them off after they've changed into bad people, it depends on how much they changed and how much of a reasonable impact we can expect ourselves to have had on them. But like there is some degree of responsibility.
Wait, can I just quickly, but Ted Bundy, right? I get what you're saying, but Ted Bundy is a twisted psychopathic murderer, mate. Like, like you're going to prison and he's trying to play mind games with you, trying to make you fucking kill yourself or something. He's that kind of fucked up guy. Like
his
you don't
failed.
associate with him. He's fucking evil.
His
like,
parents.
Let's stop it. Wait, Smith. Let's change the scenario. Let's say that it's Jeffrey Dahmer. That dude just psychologically gets off to like blood and guts, right? That's like what we know about him. He's quite literally a necrophiliac, right? That's something that isn't even like his parents' fault. Maybe his being socially awkward is, right? But him being like a fucking necrophiliac, I'm pretty sure that that's just in his brain. He's fucked up, right? What do you say in that scenario?
I think you could say it's psychological, but like, come on, like he's still gonna hurt you. That's the point, isn't it? Right?
Right.
Like he's still gonna
yeah,
hurt
but no,
you.
but like, so like if you are like Dr. Frankenstein,
Extreme example.
like of mice and men, okay. Like I would rather him kill Lenny than for him to abandon Lenny. I mean, that's a really extreme example. But like if you have a responsibility, you know what I mean, for like with the people around you. Like abandoning Lenny would have like caused more damage to other people, and just like, I'm just free. Like I get all the responsibilities off of my back. He's someone else's problem. No, like if your kid is fucking Ted Bundy, he's your problem.
Lenny is not a bad guy in the like Lenny's not like fucking sadistic and evil. You've taken like essentially like he's just misunderstood. Like and compared to Ted Bundy, he's not misunderstood. He's a fucking horrible cunt. Like
I don't think you understand Ted. Like yeah, sure, he does like things that we consider evil, but like does that mean you understand him? No, like I don't understand Ted Bundy.
How are you? Wait,
sure.
this is so backwards. How are you going to be? Are you going to extend this charity?
Like, I don't. Like,
how is he going to extend this charity to somebody who quite literally is generally like a nice guy who just doesn't know his own strength, who isn't all there, versus you're extending charity to somebody who literally raped and killed women? Like
I'm not extending charity. I'm saying that if
charity, I mean,
you don't need to
contact with them is kind of being charitable. Yeah, it is.
You don't need to understand Ted Bundy. None of us, like, so let's say there's this Ted Bundy on the loose. None of us need to understand him, but one person does, and that's his parents or like the people close to him. So like, yes,
not Smith. You smoked the Smith. You smoked the Smith. It's not, I don't believe in this idea that the mom is at fault for Ted Bundy. That's the part that's been twisted to me. The fact that you started with this idea, you're partially at fault for Ted Bundy. There is a variance to the human species. I don't think that variance that the influence a mother has goes so much that she has to then put her own life at peril post murders. Obviously, if you have Ted Bundy pre-murder, premeditation, and all of this, yeah, you probably failed your responsibilities back then. But you don't have to fucking invite them into yours. How do you feel?
But once they kill, once they kill somebody,
do you think that Chris Chan's mother owes him a place inside of that house after raping her?
Good example. Okay, this is a good to bring up my caveat here. So so this is how I deal, like the answer to Wick's question, or I guess it's also Drazi's question. I don't like to just cold cut people off like from my life like that. I set boundaries. So let's say so Chris Chan's mother should have very strong, like very extreme boundaries. There's not much, and she's got dementia. There's like literally
Chris Chan did not care about any boundaries. To begin with, Chris Chan had sexual relations.
It doesn't have anything to do with what I'm saying. It doesn't have anything to do with what I'm saying.
You're talking about establishing boundaries.
You're talking about Chris Chan. I'm talking about
what anybody's saying.
Can I please? So you're talking about.
If somebody doesn't believe in boundaries,
you're talking.
how are you
Okay,
enforce boundaries?
you are talking.
We're gonna let Smith finish.
You are talking about Chris Chan.
Here.
You are no, actually, I had another stream canceled. It got canceled. Something happened. Okay.
Great news.
So, so Chris Chan, Chris Chan's a bad person. Okay, so like I don't think that's Chris Chan doesn't understand boundaries. That has nothing. That you're just trying to like say, oh, Chris Chan's bad, so that means you should be bad to him. I think that's retarded. I'm not for that. That's a type of morality that I think is evil. But
what? Wait. What's evil?
But Barbara,
protecting yourself is evil.
Self-defense.
No, Barbara. No. I'm not saying Barbara should not be anywhere near him. Like, there's literally nothing. Like there are. The only capacity that she's capable of like being a human, there's literally no contact that'll even function. So all the boundaries have gone to the point where there's complete severance. Okay, but that's an extreme example because she has dementia. If she was like a full capacity like normal human being, there's some degree where it's like she's like in a jail, you give him a call or something like that. Like, no, but like he wouldn't have raped her if she didn't have dementia. So that's underpinning the whole thing.
Smith,
don't know
I'm gonna
that.
give you like
We
10
don't know that.
seconds to wrap this up. Perspective philosophy, if you want to respond to it.
Wrap this up. People are fucking. People are coming at me with all kinds of shit. Wrap this up. Oh, keep coming at me, and I'll keep fucking going, motherfuckers. Let's fucking go.
No, come on. Look,
come on,
think of it like this. Sorry, man.
I want Smith to be able to finish his point real quick, and if Stardust in perspective philosophy, if you have something really quick to add to it, I would like to hear the answer to the question that Wick asked from Sprouticus.
I actually have another question, but fair enough. Go ahead.
Perspective philosophy, Lauren.
Well, I didn't even
Ben.
get to answer that question. So my answer to that question,
Right.
because everybody fucking interrupted me. My answer to that question is I have a spectrum of boundaries that I introduce, and if I was
You're on a
Barbara,
spectrum, all right.
if I was Barbara, then I would complete those boundaries would have gone all the way to the end. There's nothing left. But I don't just fucking cut people off. Like you lose a little, you lose a little. If I cannot trust you in this way, I cut you off in this way. If I cannot trust you in this way, I cut you off in this way. And like incrementally, I keep cutting you off in those ways. I don't just fucking cold cut someone completely out of my life like because I don't like one thing about them.
But the example, mate, was Ted fucking Bundy.
Right.
Like, we're not talking about someone who's like,
so you
all right,
think
you've got boundaries. No, wait, like, so saying you've got boundaries, yeah, I agree. Have
He's
boundaries, right? Self-respect. Mate.
So you
like
think
the man caved people's
so what is
in. Like
so you think
he's fucking
he's
evil.
bad.
Like,
Yeah, I mean you're repeating yourself over and over. He's bad. But so you think that Ted Bundy's mom or dad would be at some great loss to call him in prison and check on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Literally yes. The degree to which you are loyalty pilled is insane, dude.
The reason that's crazy.
If you get raped by your child, gone. If your child betrays your trust,
I've explained to you.
Ted Bundy betrayed the entire species project. He's a mass murderer.
I've explained to you. I do not think Chris Chen should be in contact with his mom because like there's literally nothing that can happen between them because those boundaries have to be so extreme. But what I'm saying is if you're Ted Bundy's parents, you probably never like have called him ever. For you to call if you're Ted Bundy's parents and you call him in prison or something, that's probably the first time that you've ever done that in his whole life. So absolutely should.
Okay, stop. Okay, everybody.
Wait. Do you know anything about Ted Bundy? Because Ted Bundy, he said himself that he was responsible for all of his actions. He said he knew he was doing wrong, and he said he had a good childhood. So this is bullshit. This is so fucking bullshit.
We're
from the horse's mouth.
We wanna find out.
Can I comment
what
on
it takes
one
for people? Hang on, let me finish.
Okay.
I want to find out. Because this is important. I let it go on when we started involving loyalty, but we're getting all over the fucking place. And I want to know what you guys think, what it takes for you to cut somebody off. Smith gave his position. He says he doesn't ever cut somebody off completely.
No, that's not what I said. No, it's not what I said.
That's what I heard. Sorry.
Well, that's why I'm gonna have to fucking say it again. That's why I'm gonna have to fucking say it again. I cut people off incrementally. If I cannot trust you in a certain way, that is the thing.
I want to talk about cutting people off, motherfucker.
Fuck you! Fuck what the fuck? What the fuck?
Jesus
I'm sorry. We have to rein this in, man. It's getting crazy. I want to hear from Sprout.
No.
Stardust, Perspective Philosophy, Ben, Lauren. If you guys don't have anything to say about this, we can move on to the next thing. I have other questions.
This is gonna suck. As soon as he unmutes me,
I'm more than happy to hear that.
As soon as he unmutes me.
Smith, you're unmuted.
Okay. I cut people off in the ways they need to be cut off.
Okay. So if I can, I'm just gonna say, like, Smith, maybe like chill on the malding a little bit, okay?
Fuck you.
Fuck you, bro. Okay. Okay. So what I would say is, like, you were talking about people. So you were talking about people who don't respect boundaries to begin with, right? Like, do we really need to establish a boundary for somebody to not like fucking smash your head in? Do we really need to establish a boundary for you to not fuck your mom? These are people who already don't have boundaries. Why would you ever extend that kind of why would you extend a line of communication to somebody who already doesn't respect basic human life? So what I would say is, somebody's got a demonstrated behavior of not respecting your boundaries, of not respecting basic, like just common sense boundaries about not fucking killing people and not fucking raping your mom, like, yeah, I'm gonna say bye. Like, no, thank you. So yeah, that's my position.
Stardust.
So to be very clear, I answered Wick's question first. Like, I was the first person to take on Wick's question, but I will answer it again since it seems that was not caught on. I cut, and maybe you'll remember when I answer it again. I cut people off when when I deem them as dangerous. When I deem them as dangerous, the people that I love or to innocent people, I cut them off there. But I don't think it's healthy to have that line. I think it's healthy to have a line that's farther away from that. But that's where my line is.
Thank you, Sprout.
Can I just quickly just add on what Starter said? Look, what's worse is that people like this are the kind of people where if you give them a boundary, it's their kink to cross it. This is what gets them off. You give them the possibility, hey, don't do that. They're gonna want to do that because you said don't do that. That's that fucked up, man. Like, it's not like that a bit. Don't get me wrong. Do I think that society should cut them off? No, I think that they should be in prison, life without parole, and just give them ethics books and fucking religious scripture until they want to die. Like that. So like that's the way I would approach it.
So if everybody fucking disagrees with me, but I'm not allowed to talk, what the fuck kind of panel is this? It's fucking garbage.
You talk for like 10 minutes, bro. You talk for like 10 minutes.
At some point.
We're trying to move on to a next topic, brother.
Lauren? The problem I'm having with everyone's answers is we are going to these... Perhaps I'm mistaken, but none of you are have relationships with murderers and rapists that I'm aware of. Maybe I'm wrong.
For yourself, bro. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself.
Also, Ben's on panel.
I am avoiding that.
Watch it,
but
that is true. We do have. Why are we talking about Chris Chan fucking his mom when we can just talk about Ben over here fucking his daughter?
Everybody here made an agreement at the beginning of this panel.
You are and kick you the hell out of here.
I'm a fat loser. I'm a fat loser, but at least I don't fuck my children. Okay, so I may be a fat loser in a banana suit, but I don't fuck my kids.
I think I'd rather
at
be
the beginning
a
of this,
in a banana suit.
We welcomed everybody
kids at that rate, bitch,
who only wanted to talk about Ben and say things like you're saying that he was asked a question, he was answered.
Get lost. Go take that banana.
I will refrain from further mentioning it.
Now, I would love to hear what Lauren had to say on the question that we're still remarkably on.
Yeah, so
Lauren.
I think when it comes to like where do you cut people off, it's extremely subjective and case by case. So, for instance, a person who's been in your life for many years, you might have different and more flexible limits with them than somebody who you just met. And I think that's normal and healthy. Because
to be clear, I want to know what you think.
Yeah, just real quick. Lauren, can I ask, if you're comfortable, can you give us an example of when you've had to cut someone off?
Yeah, okay, I just met somebody recently, and I found out early in our relationship, like in dating, that he had an alcohol problem, so I decided to cut him off because of the way that he was handling it. If this is somebody that I maybe dated for years and they started to have an alcohol problem, or maybe somebody I was friends with for a really long time, I'd probably approach this situation very differently. But because this is somebody brand new to my life, I felt like it was not within my best interest to start like dealing with somebody who's dealing with such severe problems at that moment.
That's interesting because it brings up the question I wanted to ask is when in a relationship or when in dealing with someone do you begin to feel loyalty towards them? Like someone you just meet, very little loyalty. I think most of us
if I
have
can I give a personal example as well?
You may, but if I may finish asking,
Yeah.
right? Like if I may finish asking. But there seems to be different points where people will say I am loyal, and it always makes me very uncomfortable when someone expresses loyalty or fealty or signals loyalty too early. And that happens a lot online, right? That happens a lot online. People will come into your life, they'll come into your space, and a week, 2 weeks in, suddenly they're your ride or die. And I think this space incentivizes that a lot, right? This parasocial kind of pull that we want that because we want people to keep showing up. But I think that's it's creating a lot of problems and
I don't
around
think-
loyalty, right?
I don't think that's just parasocial. I don't think it's just parasocial at all. I think that in dating that happens a lot too. In dating, people will become like exclusive, like super
Sure.
fast, and will end up in like relationships that they may not want to be in because they kind of fell in love with the honeymoon phase, and the honeymoon phase kind of went away. And then they realized what they actually ended up with. So like I think in society we choose ride or dies like super fast. It may be faster on the internet than it is like in like general population, but what I'm saying though is that like in general we choose things like super fast. It just happens to be that with internet it
Is
seems
this
that we've
not
got
in
better
being in love
communication.
with the wrong idea though, right? Like look at it like this. Like people are when they start a relationship are in love with the idea of the person and not necessarily the person, right? They're in love with the idea of a family member, even though they're Ted Bundy, or they're in the idea the love with the idea of whatever the fuck it is, right? And that's like a genuine problem. Like when I said at the start, you should be loyal to ideas. Only the right ones, right? Only the good ones. And this is the problem is that we all are coming from this at a very limited very limited fashion, and we're all going to make mistakes in this, which is what I think we're confused for subjectivity. But there is a right and wrong in this, and I think that it's often that people just fall in love with the way they're feeling or the way they want to or live a life and have this idea in their head, and they just get like really just fucking high on it, really.
Well, I think what's happening then is you're falling in love with what you see, what you like. You're falling in love with the potential, right? So like when you're dating someone, I feel like you're falling in love with the potential of what it could become. And when that potential is shattered, I think that like even if like the ex is an asshole, there's going to be like a grieving process because not necessarily that you have to grieve the ex because you may realize that your ex is an asshole or whatever, but you have to grieve that potential that you saw later on, the potential of like this great fruitful relationship that you saw just no longer being there. That's going to take a grieving process, whether or not you think the ex is an asshole or not.
Potential for a fantasy.
Can I
Yes.
say something here?
Yeah.
Listen,
I would
think
really
we
like
run
to hear
into
what you
the-
think.
We
Ben.
run into the problem here of intellectual masturbation, which is just people wanting to talk because they just don't want it to be quiet. I don't think anyone here is saying anything that is contributing anything to anyone.
Really.
Let me
I don't think you're
try.
contributing at all. I think you're just coming after the
shut
rest
up,
of the
Sprout.
panel.
Okay.
Sprout, he's been
I'm
very
just
patient.
saying.
I'd like
I'm
to hear what he
just
has
saying.
to
It's
say.
not. This
Sprout!
isn't contributing. This is
You're an
not
alcoholic,
contributing.
Sprout. Shut up.
All right,
Okay.
let me
No,
just give
alcohol
it a
needs
shot.
Be an
alcohol. I have alcohol.
alcoholic and have sex with my daughter.
Chill.
Lauren, I already warned
Ben.
you once.
Please.
What are you gonna do, Ben?
Well, we'll find out.
Evidently,
won't
he's
we?
in charge of the panel.
Can I give a personal example?
Now, I
You
would
can
like to
you
try
can speak
to-
after Ben
has the
does.
floor. What the
He has
fuck?
been very
Dad wants to
patient. The
talk
next
now.
person who
Hold on.
speaks
Okay,
will
I'll
be
be quiet.
Ben.
I'll be quiet.
I'm gonna
All
mute.
young ladies need to shut their
Elder.
mouths, and all the crying little
Elder,
babies
mute
need to
everyone.
Why do you
calm
always
down.
tell
Elder,
women
mute
to shut
everyone.
their
Now,
mouths and then point out
here's
that
what
they're
Dad's
women
going
before
to
you do
offer.
it?
What's that, darling?
No, you're not my dad. No, don't even try that one.
Yeah, okay. So
All
here,
right,
here
everybody
goes.
who's not Ben has been muted. He's been talking. Go ahead.
I just want to suggest that there is a, Christian theological point here that would be helpful, and that is that we're all sinners, and that our Lord, whether you acknowledge him or not, commanded us not to judge others. Now, that doesn't mean you don't act with prudence towards people, but it avoids the problem that all secular people have of trying, when you say this is a bad person and all that shit, it's not your job to do that. We are all sinners. And only by the grace of God are we all not Jeffrey Dahmers, and maybe we are, and Jeffrey Dahmers and Ted Bundys and all that kind of stuff. So that's a contention that the church gives to us through our Lord Jesus Christ, that we're all sinners, but we have a tendency to want to judge others, to feel like there are two groups of people, the good people and the bad people. That's an actual point that we could debate. I also think if that's probably too
It's
much.
not even
you guys
somewhat
don't
true. There's
understand
different
that.
degrees of sins.
Can you tie
Yeah.
this into loyalty, Ben?
That's not even somewhat
How do you
true.
decide to cut somebody off?
Well, you don't judge them, and you
That's
never.
bullshit. That's
And
bullshit.
you never.
We get
Okay,
told
so
to judge people.
I'll go. No, we're
By
not.
your fruits ye shall know them. There are
Yes,
wolves
but that's
in
different
sheep's
than
clothing.
judging people as good
No.
as
Don't
your
judge-
life.
Not.
We get told, look,
Stardust.
we get told not to wrongly judge people or be self-righteous, but
I'll
we
go-
definitely get told to judge people. Like, what the fuck?
No,
Like,
The
You
verse,
just have
the,
to
the
make
verse,
sure you
the
do a
verse,
good job.
the verse that says
Only-
judge not, the verse that says judge not lest ye be judged is specifically talking about inter Christianity, not external, not external to Christianity, but inter Christianity. It's specifically talking about that.
Wrong.
You can say wrong as much as you want, but I've got the facts
Okay,
to back it up.
tell me what human being has ever been judged by the Catholic Church to be in hell? None. We don't have a single one.
What human being has ever been judged to be in heaven?
but if we weren't able to
Oh, it's the
judge,
same
we
thing.
Catholic
wouldn't
Church,
get canonized.
the Catholic Church came and guaranteed the Pope's going to heaven.
Well, we
You
don't.
say
We're guaranteed-
you don't say that this person is a demon or anything. You the church has done crazy fucking shit to people like they consider bad people, but they don't say you're going to hell because you're a bad person. They
That's not
might as well.
generally-
They might
that's
as well
also-
have.
Okay,
They might as well-
guys.
Slander.
But
No,
but
they have. No, they
why every
What
time do I
religion is
talk?
next
Why?
week?
But you
hell
do
before.
things like so you someone can't be part of society. You remove them from society. You don't say you're going to hell. We're condemning you. You're not a human being
in the
anymore.
Bible.
No, there are
Yes,
people
but you
that they
do-
have like Galileo was sentenced to death and told that he wasn't going to
Right.
heaven.
Lie. That's a lie, Lauren. You should study
might
your
be true.
How
I
is
don't
that
know.
a lie? What part
Galileo
of that's a
was
lie?
never sentenced to death. He was sentenced to house arrest. You're
No,
lying.
he was.
You don't study
killed.
history. Read books, Lauren. You're a moron.
Okay.
If you want to talk about
The
reading books,
Galileo thing was
if you
more.
want to talk about reading books,
Yes,
Okay.
Judge
I'll
Ben,
teach you.
you're a dumb
I'll-
bitch
Can I just say
moron.
one thing really quick? I know what. Ben, is your favorite book the Bible?
Oh no! Here we go.
I love the Bible. Yeah.
Is that your favorite book?
You want to come have me read it to you?
Are we
Yeah, I
being
just
productive with
listened
this?
to all the incest. Go
no, we're
ahead.
not. So
You know,
Ben,
sometimes you do have
in your
to.
Ben, in your estimation, how many people of the Catholic Church underneath church discipline excommunicated for the church?
No, look,
I don't
religion
know.
is next week's panel, okay? This week's
No,
panel
I'm
is
asking-
on loyalty.
No, wait, 1 second. If you're gonna mute me because he's talking and then come after me because I'm
That's
going after
not
the points he's
judging them.
talking about, if
I let you
going after the points
respond,
he's
Sprout.
talking about, no, but here's the thing. He's talking about the Catholic Church has never told anyone they're going to hell. The church literally has, and I know this because of theology. The church literally has a church discipline to where if the person does not listen to church after being talked to by a single person, being talked to by one person with multiple people coming with them, and then being talked to by the church, if they still don't listen, they're excommunicated from the church.
right.
So
That's
the
right.
excommunication from the church is extenuous until they listen. So that is
right.
essentially telling someone they're going to hell
Wrong.
unless they change their
Right,
ways.
it doesn't say
Okay,
that.
so
right?
it doesn't
But-
matter if
I
you're
hear your
Give me
complaint.
1 second to respond to that.
Sometimes
Saint
Wait, hold on.
Joan of Arc. Wait. Saint Joan of Arc, my daughter's patron saint, was excommunicated by a local tribunal that was overturned, and she was made a saint. So
Oh yeah.
When was
Okay.
she made a
do
saint?
not
When was she
say
made a
that
saint?
Okay,
When was
but
she
the-
made a saint?
Friend.
The
When was she
history-
made a saint?
The history doesn't
When was she
matter.
made
The
a
point
saint?
doesn't matter what if he's
Guys.
right. It doesn't matter if he's right or wrong. The point he's making is what we're talking about. It doesn't matter what the history of the church is. I don't care about that. But like, what?
No, but no, I'm making
Sometimes it's needed.
I'm making the simple
Sometimes
argumentation.
look, if you don't want to judge somebody, that's fine. That's on you. But sometimes it is needed for your own personal safety,
see,
for
look-
your own well-being, to cut
no.
somebody off.
Yes,
like,
okay, but
like
that's
it
different.
just.
That's a prudential judgment. That's not judging someone. You understand? Everyone seems to miss this. It's really important to understand. We're all lousy Christians.
I can't
okay?
tell if someone's
Not
a bad
judging doesn't
person or a
mean-
good person, but I can tell how they are going to be behaving around me, and I can
Maybe.
make
Maybe.
decisions based on that. I
That's
can
what
make
I've been
decisions
saying.
based on that.
Called
Here's the
exercising
question.
prudence.
Here's
Oh,
the
that's-
thing.
that sounds
Like,
good.
How do you
Thank
exercise
you.
prudence? It's just intellectual masturbation. We just
No.
make our best
No.
guess. There's no, like,
No,
there's no,
no,
we're not going to
look,
get
look.
anywhere
Not-
saying like,
Yeah,
oh,
you,
this
you,
case,
you
in
don't
this
you don't
case,
sound anything like. Look, I'm sorry. This sounds, if anything, this sounds more Protestant than Catholic. It sounds like Martin fucking Luther. Like this doesn't
It's
sound.
going more and more Protestant. Yeah.
This isn't Catholic. Catholics judge.
What's
We judge.
not
We fucking
Catholic?
judge. We absolutely judge. And there is a
No.
right and wrong. And when
In
someone does
fact-
the wrong thing, we will tell them you're doing the wrong thing. You shouldn't be doing that. And in fact,
sometimes
you are
in
supposed to.
some
Your priest will say
context-
you're doing the wrong thing.
in some
Stop doing that.
context- In some
Um,
context, yes. But
Okay.
if you're an authority
Hey.
in specific context, yes,
This
it is
is-
an act of mercy to admonish the sinner.
I
But
thought we
we're
were
very
going to talk
careful
about
to do that.
pedophilia, and now this entire conversation is about the Catholic Church. Can we move it
We're
past?
we're moving on to the next question. Come on, guys. There's a formula to this. Okay, we all know it. Everybody's very aware of how this works. Wick, I think that you've been pretty well mannered. So we're gonna start with you, and then we're gonna go Tuna, and then we're gonna hit up the top and move down.
What's the question?
Does it ever make sense to grant any person or idea unconditional loyalty?
No.
Is there ever a circumstance? And if not, to what extent can somebody earn it beyond what we just discussed is normally when we cut somebody off? To what extent can somebody supersede our normal boundaries of loyalty?
So to answer this question, I'll start pretty simple. There is no such thing to me as unconditional loyalty, right? This is different than love. It's different than friendship. Loyalty is something different to me fundamentally than these two things. I think they can be connected, but they are not the same. I have boundaries where if you cross them, no matter who you are, or if you're a party or an idea or a individual, that if you cross these boundaries, you'll be cut off. But I think the question of earning loyalty is an interesting one. For me, I start to feel loyalty when people do things for me and go out of their way for me to benefit me, especially at a cost to themselves. When they take a hit for me, when they take a risk for me, I begin to feel minor levels of loyalty, and that tends to grow. Now, is this wise? I am not sure, but this is how I operate. If you scratch I'm a big believer in reciprocity. If you scratch my back, then I feel indebted to scratch yours, because I think at the end of the day, loyalty is a form of debt. You are indebted to those you are loyal to. You are, you have a debt or a responsibility towards those you have pledged loyalty to. And I think that, for me, that is loyalty. Is when someone does something for you, takes a risk for you, takes a hit for you, it tends to engender those feelings of loyalty in me. I don't know if that answers your question, but there you go.
No, that was a really good example. And just so everybody can point out how this question was answered in the way that I was asking it, he pointed out that people can do things that make him feel indebted. This is how they can accrue a special amount of loyalty, whereas people who don't do that can. This is what I'm interested in. Tuna, is there anything anybody can do to make you particularly loyal, you loyaltyless man, you?
Okay, first off, you were going to call me a loyalist, and I was going to fit lead between your ears. No, I don't think that that's loyalty. Also, I think that this is a weird way of talking about these things. That's trust to me. That's like trust building. We get into these formulations where somebody puts themselves on the line. There's no reason for them to take that risk other than believing that demonstrating that I can trust them. I think that if we're going to talk about like loyalty, I would operate under that trust language. Because I agree with Wick, somebody puts their fucking head on the line for me, I'm probably going to do it for them too, because I recognize that we have a volley. We have a little bit of a thing where we're becoming unit in that action. I don't think by birth, I don't think by authority. It's really like individual. What are you doing? Can I trust you that if I put myself on the line, that later you will put yourself on the line? But I just don't think that extends infinitely. I think that it's really, really strange to say that it extends infinitely. Even that, no matter how much you put yourself on the line, there will always be a condition. And it's my own neck. I don't know anybody. I don't believe anybody when they say that they would martyr themselves for their loyalties. I think that you're a liar. But yeah, that's it.
I would.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Ben, but first, I had something I wanted to say about particularly this. It seems like, especially
I
in
had
this space,
something I
people
wanted to
don't
say
really
too.
have-
He's
You're
just
after
on
perspective
wonderful
philosophy. it seems like people here don't have a lot of loyalty. I think I tend to agree with what Wick thinks about it. There's a certain amount of debt. I grew up with somebody, and they have no blood relation. I call him my brother. This person endured heroin addiction. He has stolen from me more than once. I even had him live with me after he had stolen from me, and I had to have him leave living in my house after he made other people in my house feel uncomfortable by taking things from them. Despite being clean, some of these habits didn't last. I still treat him with as much love and respect as I always did, but there are certain things I cannot allow him to be a part of anymore. This to me is what I would consider to be loyalty. I feel a certain debt to him for the kind of bond that we had had. And although I may limit him on certain things, I only cut him out of what is necessary for the rest of my life to function in relation to the loyalty that I have to the other people around me who would be affected by it.
I think that's a really
And
good way.
then-
Look at it like. Oh, sorry.
If you want to respond, that's fine. Then we're going right to Ben, and then we're going to go down the line from Ben right to left down to Sprout.
I think
Yeah,
it's. I think. Okay, you go.
Whoa, dude! He just had a contract with perspective. Go on.
Thanks.
If I want to respond, I'm going to respond next.
Fuck you. Right. Okay. Right. Basically,
Fuck
what I was
you!
just going to say is that essentially, I think you're right in the sense that there has to be like these points of self-respect and respecting the other. Right. Like, are you respecting them? Or are you respecting yourself? And I think when we say like loyalty, I think it doesn't make sense to be loyal to anything other than that. What's been referenced as reciprocity, but I think that's sort of poor term because it implies a mere transactional nature to this relationship. I think there is an unconditional loyalty to something ideologically higher, something like truth and goodness. And I think that includes the consideration of both parties to the point in which you would be unconditionally loyal to that which brings around the benefit for everyone, for the good, for the actual consideration of everyone involved. And I think sometimes you have to establish conditions with real life people in order to maintain your self-respect so that you can even be devoted to that higher goal of considering
Perspective.
others.
If I may interrogate that for a moment, is there no one you would lie for?
Yeah, I mean that's different. Like it depends on what you mean by
How is
lie,
that
though.
different? So
Because I think there's a specific instance of like lying, and then there's being untrue to
Let me
something which
explain,
is
if I
to
may.
goodness itself, right?
if I may, there are, at least in my life, there are people who I would stand up in front of a court of law and lie on their behalf. I would put myself at risk like that. There's very few of them, but there are people who I would lie for. We talk about this idea of being devoted to truth, and I don't know if I entirely agree with that, because again, I think that loyalty to a person, at least, involves, at least to some extent, being willing to lie for them.
I don't think so. Like, look at it like this. It depends on what you mean by lie. Like, there's being true. Like, remember when you said at the start, like, true to yourself? I think there's lying where you are being untrue, like, not, like, actually saying the truth in, let's say, a courtroom or something. And then there's being inconsiderate of what the truth actually means, which is like, are you respecting justice? Are you respecting why honesty is considered a value, a virtue in the first place? It's like, yes, lie to the Nazis when Anne Frank is in your attic, but don't necessarily, or maybe lie to your mom when she asks you to cook something shit, but don't lie to the police when they're looking for a serial killer and it happens to be your brother. So there's points in which we say that, like, it's not that lying isn't wrong. It's that when we understand what lying is, it depends upon the social game that's being played and the stakes. And ultimately, what governs this game is going to be respect for me and others, right?
I think that we can this is what bothers me about this conversation, is we go to the extreme so often, and it makes it almost hard to engage with it. Whereas if we were to take things from a more realistic perspective, like obviously if someone's going around being a serial killer, then they've passed my bonds of loyalty already. They're done. They're gone. But if someone stole, if someone, I knew that they had done something and stolen quite a deal of money, or quite a bit of a product or something, right? And I was sufficiently loyal to them, there would be at least a level where I would say, okay, I know what you did was wrong here, but this is loyalty, and I'm going to take it on the chin. I'm going to at least put my values on the line just a little in order to help you in this situation.
I think
because you have
Wait,
done this
wait,
for
can
me.
I- Can I push back really quick? Because we actually had a great example coming from Drazi himself, and a lot of people,
Tuna, then Ben.
a lot of people are sympathetic in this issue. I think that the right way to look at this, we have a duty to the highest form of the other person. We don't have a duty to a person when they are betraying their own values. We don't have a duty to a person when they're acting outside of that. So when we have this person who is stealing because they are addicted to a drug, a lot of people give a little too much lenience to the person that is in a state of addiction because they think that helping that person is as literal as saying having their back. But sometimes having someone's back means making it so that they are held accountable by this grander law and making sure that law is a responsible and reasonable law. So
that can be true too. I agree.
So, well, in the instance of theft, I'm not going to lie unless I think that that person is stealing for a good reason. There's a difference between, stealing, lying to the Nazis and stealing from your friends for fucking crack cocaine. It just comes down to their highest
I've
self.
got a lot to say right now, but
intellectual masturbation.
they're not going to let me.
And this is like the problem with the Enlightenment. It's not as hard as everyone's making it out to be. We in the West, and all of you are part of the West, even the Hindu wearing the banana suit is part of the West.
I'm not Hindu, but okay.
South Asian.
What the fuck was that comment?
Like,
I have no fucking clue. That came
this
out
is what
of pocket.
happens. This is what
I'm gonna
happens
give it
when
that.
you're pre-enlightenment.
That came out of pocket.
Now, there was a proposal made to us by a man from Nazareth who
Oh
said,
my God.
Exactly.
My
Very
sweet Lord.
incest book.
I am going to, Lauren, watch it. I'm going to make this a lot easier for you. You're not smart enough to get this together on your own. Trust in my Heavenly Father, trust in me, and I'll even give you a church to help you to negotiate all of this shit. Still, life has its gray areas. It's not an abandonment of the intellectual project, but this shit, you people, why don't you say yes to this?
Did you say Christ gave us the? Wait, did you say Christ gave us the church?
Yeah, Christ gave us the church.
God, who you could be absolutely loyal to.
Ben,
to be clear, Ben,
it's not
Ben,
that
did you say
fucking hard.
Ben? Did you say
To be
Christ
clear-
gave us? Bryn, did you say Christ gave us the church?
Yes.
Is that what you just said?
Oh
So
my
Christ
God.
gave
we're
us
not-
the fucking church.
We're not having a
Stop!
Okay, just stop him. Elder. Okay, I get it.
boring. I
Elder,
agree with
Elder,
you.
I want to talk to you
I
for a
agree with
second. I
you,
want to
it's
talk to you
boring.
as the mod. Do it, Elder. I want to talk to you, please.
What?
Stop muting me. Thank you.
Some
So,
I don't want to
no,
devolve
Elder,
into
I
a
want to
religious
talk to you.
debate.
No, bring
And
it
I
down.
wanted to be able to tell Ben
And I
that this
understand
question
it's a
was
yes or
about
no question.
human to human loyalty or loyalty to an idea,
I
not
understand that.
to God.
Elder, if you don't want it to become a religious debate, tell Ben to stop bringing it up. Ben's the one that's bringing it up.
Spartacus!
Mute him.
Spartacus, you have self-control. Exercise
I'm
it.
asking Elder to do something, and no one's. Evidently, I get muted twice for it.
Crying.
It's
The answer
all
is
right.
shut up. Now,
no.
As I moved to do it, after
what I'm
500
saying
people
is-
started talking.
Furthest from God.
I liked Ben pulling out the Steven Crowder bit. Watch it,
Better
Lauren.
than him pulling
Fucking
out his
watch it.
dick for his daughter.
I
So,
like that dirty talk.
Ben,
She's that type.
the question is about between humans and non-religious ideology. Obviously, if you're religious, you devote yourself to your religious ideology. That's what it means
All
to be
ideology
religious.
is religious. You don't think secularism is a religion? You don't think these
Oh my God.
retards sitting around trying to figure
Look,
out
oh my
what's
God.
a religion?
How can you-
Just a stupid religion.
Just
How
mute
can
him.
you-
Do you understand?
You muted all of us.
No, you have
I-
to mute him. Mute him.
As
You muted
Yeah, mute
us.
that,
I
mute
would like-
that.
I would-
Die dad
I would
up.
like to
Lauren
get-
would
I would-
like that.
Ben,
No.
I'd like to give you a
I
chance
did-
to, in
Mute
good
him.
faith, answer this question.
Mute him.
I didn't get
But
that
if you
courtesy.
can't answer the
Lauren, put the
question,
lips away.
we're gonna
You're
move on
distracting
to
Ben.
Lauren.
All right.
Can you
if
do
you
that?
want to talk about something secular, I'd love to talk about boundaries. This thing of boundaries. I think
The
it's a lot of
question
fun.
is
I didn't get
about
that
the
courtesy.
question is
Mute him.
about
daughter
Mute
would
him.
like to talk
Mute
about
him. Mute
that
him.
before she turned
Use-
15.
Mute him.
Look, no,
I
you
didn't
have to
get this
exercise
courtesy.
authority.
For
Exercise
what
your
it's
authority,
worth,
Elder.
I've always identified
Strike
as
'em
somebody in
down.
the West. You know, my ethnic background doesn't make me less American. You know, so
I agree, Stardust.
This is not a banana republic.
If Ben, if you can only answer this question in terms of not addressing it whatsoever, we're
Only
going to move on to
time you're gonna get
Lauren.
it
But I
right.
would like to give you an opportunity to let us know: does it make sense to
given him
grant any
3.
human unconditional loyalty, or no?
Am I allowed to say that Jesus Christ is a human,
Human,
resurrected from
living.
the dead?
No,
A living person.
living
No,
Mute him.
this is
Mute
this
him.
is very specifically antithetical. Lauren, go ahead.
Thank you. Unlimited loyalty, no. Like once again, it's subjective. How much loyalty should be given, case by case scenario, person to person. But like the only people I could think of to be loyal to that extent are, your family or your spouse. And even then with family and spouse, there are moments in which you have to cut them off. Maybe you could love them unconditionally. I think that's different than being loyal to them unconditionally.
I
So for
agree.
instance,
Can I
if
ask a
your
question
son
about
or
that?
daughter commits a crime, or maybe if your father is abusing you, for instance, just hypothetically, you might have to go. You could maybe love that person still, but you might still need to go to the authorities and not
Okay.
be like loyal and not turn them in. Yeah,
To what
Stardust.
extent can you grant it?
yeah. So yeah, I would say that I agree with Lauren that the closest thing you're going to get to unconditional loyalty is going to be either from a parent or from a child. And I think I have relevant experience in this. In that like my father was somebody I had to cut off, right? Because I tried to extend as much charitability as I could to him. I tried to maintain contact as much as I could, but he was just like a complete he created chaos whenever he re-entered our lives, and he was somebody who had no respect for boundaries. We never felt safe around him, from a really young age. So even though you have this this innate want to trust and be loyal to this person, because you have it's built into you, you still have to have, even with family members, you still have to have conditional loyalty. You have to determine when this person is a danger to you, or just a disruption in your life and creating chaos. You have to cut them off, unfortunately.
It doesn't mean you can't
yeah.
rebuild loyalty with that person too, or maintain unconditional love for them.
Can I just respond to it? Because
Okay,
I
yeah.
think there's a definite
You
contradiction.
can respond and then answer the question. Perspective.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there's a definite contradiction here. Like, so what I think Stardust was building on, I think, is probably both of your genuine takes, in the sense that I think you both think that there has to be a boundary, a set in stone boundary in which you cut someone off when they've done something which
There
is
isn't a set in
horrific.
stone boundary. There isn't one. It's a long process of learning. Like,
no, but I mean,
yeah.
it sounds like
Yeah.
you would both say, "Hey, wait a minute." There comes to a point where it is actually wrong. Like, this isn't subjective anymore. This is objective, and to the point. Then this is where I think the contradiction lies. At the start, it's this subjective. It depends on the circumstances, the context, who I am, how do I feel about this scenario. Or is it that actually there is an actual truth of the matter? Is there a point in which it would be ludicrous for me to keep this person in my life, that what I'm doing is harmful to myself? And if you're saying that there is a point in which that is the case, then it's not subjective, actually, and you could be deluded. Like, and we could go as a community, go, oh, wait a minute, no, you should cut your father off. He is doing something horrible. Or you should cut your spouse off, that domestically abusing you, whatever, and that's fine.
Everybody's limits can be different though. So for instance, like like if your father hits you once, maybe that could be enough for you to cut them off. But maybe your father grew up with spankings and maybe he grew up spanking you. And so like that's not enough for you. So your limit could be different than somebody else's limit for where to cut them off. Um and so I think those limits could be
I mean, I
different,
still
but
think it
maybe-
is, in a sense, it is kind of still subjective because, I mean, maybe it's subjective is not the right word, but you know, there are people who still maintain relationships with people who are
This
terrible
question was
for their
individually
lives, right? So-
subjective. I wanted to know what each person felt. So you responded, perspective philosophy. Can you to what was being said? Can you let us know? Do you think it ever makes sense to grant somebody unconditional loyalty? And if not, what is the extent to which you can grant it? And then I would love to hear from Smith. He's been uncharacteristically patient. I appreciate you, buddy. I know you're trying.
I've already kind of answered this. I basically just think that the only thing you should be loyal to is something that's like justice, and then you can't be unconditionally loyal to a specific person because they might not be as loyal to that same concept as you. They might be a bad person. They might be hurting you. So no, like there can't be like apart from an actual God, as in literal God, there could not be a person that you could give unconditional loyalty to.
To what extent could you grant it?
I think that the extent in which you could grant it is to a point in which it goes against like a genuine moral harm. I think that can be, formalized. Like we could say like, that treating people as a means to an end, like Kant would say, or it could be more specific and concrete in which we go, hey, wait a minute, you are clearly disregarding my subjectivity or other people's subjectivity. This is a boundary that I will not let you cross. And if I do let you cross this, then I'm not disrespecting myself, but I'm also disrespecting you. And I think Tuna was alluding to that before.
I actually have what I think that you would say, which is that something needs to act as the tether. Everybody needs to be, and usually that's what a union is. Whether or not it's the church or whether or not it's literally just that you are a family outside of some definition by the thing. Something needs to be the tether, and everybody needs to be held accountable by that tether, some agreement, and then that increases play. That's why a relationship, that's why when we when the difference between when you're with somebody that you're dating and you're with somebody that you want to marry eventually, or not even marry, but just like live with, and you're going to treat each other different. And there's a reason why that commitment is like fulfilling and not just like, oh, I'm letting go of freedom. It's because by committing and knowing that they're committing, so many questions get answered instantly. You can feel like you can engage in more trust. You become like multiple in one another. Smith, let the dog out of the cage.
Okay, to answer the question, I think that I can only be as loyal as I can trust somebody, but even though I trust you, it doesn't mean I will be loyal to you. It takes trust plus some like connection or love or something. Like I trust a lot of people that that I'm not loyal to. It's like it's an extra choice to be loyal to a person, and that loyalty is not unconditional. But what I really disagree with, even though it sounds really nice, I really passionately disagree with what Wick said at the very beginning. That if people, and I understand that most people feel this way, but I had to learn this the hard way. You're older than me. Don't do whatever the fuck you want. But I think that when people do things for you, then you're loyal to them because it's like a tit for tat. I think that that's actually really dangerous because that's how abusive people sink their teeth in, because they'll do things for you so that you will owe them, and that debt you're talking about is how they get control over you. And it's
I never said it was wise.
Right.
I want to be clear. I made that.
You made that caveat.
I'm not sure this is wise. I'm just saying this is how that I build and how it's built with me. Loyalty is if I want to build a relationship with someone, whether that be romantic, friendship, business. One of those things that I do in order to signal, hey, I can be trusted and I will be loyal to you, is I take a hit. I put myself out there for them. I demonstrate through my actions and not just my words that I am willing to put myself out there and take a risk on you, right? I think that's just natural, is it not?
Well, it is natural, absolutely. But I think that puts you in jeopardy from people who are manipulative and like aren't playing by the same social rule books. So I think it means that like psychopaths and shit can be so like it depends on why you're putting yourself on the line. If you're putting yourself on the line because you actually care about this person and that's what matters to you, then that's like a big deal. If you're doing it because you want this person to owe you a favor, so like let's say that people they're like, oh, Wick's doing these panels, I'm gonna start doing him favors so that he'll like do me favors and stuff, but I don't give a fuck about him. I hate him. You know what I mean? Like that's dangerous.
Well, I'll
you know
give you an example. Okay. Chatter Nija Americano just gifted me $10, and I am now loyal. $10 worth of loyalty is towards Nija Adam. They have put themselves on the line for me, and I will go to bat for them. So that's some loyalty right there. A small amount of loyalty, but some loyalty nonetheless.
Loyalty through capitalism, beautiful.
So let's say like I don't know, someone I don't like, a lot of people don't like, I think is a very bad person, Donald Trump. All right, he says he enters my chat and starts giving me tons of money. It's gonna be like it's gonna be really like easy for me to be like, you know, like start like singing his praises. He gives me like $1,000 or something, but like and I probably would succumb to that eventually. Everybody has a price, but it's just that's how they get you. Like if so, let's say Donald
Trump gay fantasy, like move on. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna succumb to Donald Trump's offer.
Mute him.
To you.
Probably like everybody has a price.
Now,
everybody has a price.
I find it funny that he can do this, but I get muted when I do it.
No, everybody has a price. So like
I will find it funny.
So if someone is giving enough, then they'll be able to break through your boundaries.
Bro. Sorry.
I know he wouldn't. Of course he wouldn't.
You know what?
It's
you give me enough
it's called
money,
a hypothetical.
I will be unconditionally loyal to you. Yes.
We all know what you'll do. Now, what is
that supposed to mean?
It doesn't matter how it doesn't matter.
Are we really not going to mute Ben? Are we really not going to mute him? I've asked questions and I got muted twice.
Quit crying.
I'm asking a question.
I haven't muted anybody once until I have said for everybody to stop. When I have asked people to stop and they have not stopped, that is when I have muted people.
Can I make a point?
You and I were moving in at the same time. Ben, if you want to respond, that's fine. But when Smith starts talking again, we got to stop and let him finish. And then, Lauren, I see you with your hand up. I respect that. You can respond after Smith finishes, and then we're going on to Stardust.
So like this is how like people say people that are like really capitalistic and shit like they'll justify like prostitution or stuff. Like it undermines consent for like I believe strongly that it undermines consent that if you are giving somebody money and it's like, oh well, everybody has a price. Everybody will let someone rape them for enough money. For like if you $10 billion, of course you could rape anybody in the world if you had $10 billion to give them.
No.
Okay, so like most people,
it's cheaper for people like you, Ben.
Yeah, so that tit for tat it actually like pushes past like your actual like self defense and your self preservation.
Listen,
okay,
Ben,
you can respond. Yeah, Ben, Lauren, then Stardust.
I just have a quick question for Ben.
That's up to Ben. If he wants to respond first. Ben, can she ask you first?
Lauren,
I have to enforce some order here.
We're in a courtroom, motherfucker.
Yeah, let Lauren ask her question.
You said
already said
that
she
you
could
martyr yourself for loyalty to someone, and I was
like
just
to think
wondering
I would. That's right. For Holy Mother Church.
And I was just wondering who you were loyal to.
I told you, Jesus Christ.
No, like what person in your life are you currently loyal to?
Jesus Christ.
Other than Jesus Christ.
Well, I do want to answer this question like from a secular level. I think especially for the females here, the best person for you to give unconditional loyalty to is your daddy, your father. And when Stardust tells her story and you look at her rectangle, you go, yeah, I get it. This is what happens when you disconnect from daddy. And I do think that it does. That's not unconditional. That's not unconditional. But it's a real. You were put in this world as your daddy's son or daughter, and that
the accusations against you, man.
You're not
you
even
are
a
just fucking
woman,
with this.
so that doesn't even apply to
He's
you.
doing it on purpose.
I can't tell what anybody's saying.
Mute people! Ben, mute them! Fuck!
Okay.
Uno, relax.
Hold on. Ben.
Just mute them. Stop complaining. You're the fucking mod.
He's scared
I would like
of
to give
muting
people
Ben.
a chance.
He's
I would
scared
like
of
to
muting
give
Ben.
people a chance to adhere to what I'm asking them to do before I mute.
Okay.
I didn't get a chance. I was asking you a question. You didn't tell me to stop, and I got muted
Bitching. Just
twice.
Make your point. Make your point.
So
Quit
hold
bitching.
on, Ben. I lost my train of
Yes,
thought.
babe.
With okay, so
Easy
hold
with
on.
that.
That doesn't even
Order
apply
in the
to
court.
you because hold on, that doesn't even apply to you
Fine.
because you're saying women need to be loyal to their daddies, whatever. You're not a woman though.
Usually.
So I'm asking you, who are
No.
you loyal to on this planet?
Yeah, I would say of like anyone that would not be unconditionally my father, my grandfather,
Woman.
my local parish priest, my bishop, and the Holy Father in the Vatican, although not unconditionally. But yeah, that's
Wait,
who.
okay, so you're saying that you're loyal to your father, but isn't your father asking you to treat your wife differently? Isn't your father currently supporting your ex-wife, paying all of her bills,
Yeah.
and dealing with like basically your life and asking you to change a lot of your ways? You don't seem to be fielding a lot of loyalty to him.
I mean, loyalty doesn't mean agreeing with everything. I'm loyal to him.
Look, I
How
just
are
want
you
to.
loyal?
I think
Okay.
Do you do
right,
what he
so-
says? Is that?
I think
No,
I think
You do
that's
it-
fair.
an adult man does not owe his father obedience. No.
And also, how
Okay,
are you
so-
loyal to your pastor when you're trying to
Lauren, we got to
divorce your
move on.
wife?
Stop cooking
You
the
got to ask
content.
Ben.
Drazi, let her do it.
He and I are at an impasse.
Stardust is about to
I'm
fucking
loyal to him.
explode, dude.
He's my
No,
pastor.
I'm not. I'm not. Look, I'm
Let Lauren
chilling,
talk.
man.
It's the lip
All right,
stuff.
Stardust, if you're
How
okay
are
with
you-
yielding some of your time here, by all means, Lauren.
How are you? Yeah, how are you being loyal to your priest when you're violating your vows and getting a divorce from the mother of your 6 children?
No, I'm not getting a divorce. I'd never do that.
Yeah, you're trying
You're
to
getting
get
it annulled.
a quote unquote annulment, but you're not going to work.
No,
as
I mean
admin
annulment
as
is in the Catholic
you.
Church. That's not that like you can't
You
actually
say
get
it's a
annulment.
quote
Like it's
unquote annulment. That's
like an annulment is a
So
Catholic
he's
thing.
trying
You
to
can't get one
avoid
of
his
those.
marriage. I've already discussed this
No,
with
but
him.
that is
I'm
that
trying
is
to have the
no.
fake
It would
marriage
mean that it was
declared
never a
for-
marriage. It would mean that Catholics
you have
approach
6
annulment.
kids
It
and
would
never
never
have a
have been a
marriage?
marriage.
Perspective.
it's-
I understand. He is trying to say that he was never in a marriage and
Mhm.
that
So then he has
and
sex
he's
outside of a marriage
Catholic.
at least 6
He's
times.
literally trying to annul his
Plus your
marriage.
mom.
You have
At
6
least 7
kids with
times.
this woman. Like
Oh,
the
100.
main reason that you have an annulment is if you didn't consummate the marriage. You clearly consummated
No,
the
you
marriage.
can get
Lauren,
it
you
for
don't
other
know what
Alright.
you're talking about,
no,
and you're
you
not a
can-
canon
you can
lawyer.
get
I don't
it.
even know if you're a Jew. What the hell do you know?
graduated
Nothing.
law school.
Oh,
I
whatever.
literally
You get people who
This
get
is
annulment
not-
for domestic violence.
This is not a religious
peer
debate.
pressure.
There's also
Yes.
such a thing as legal
it's
annulment.
a debate on loyalty.
Civil
and this
annulment.
man is
You
not
should
loyal
study
to
your books.
anyone.
You should read
Legal
your books
annulment
and
is
drink
time
less.
bound.
Don't make
Legal
us
annulment is
defend the
time bound.
guy.
If you had 6 kids, then it's no longer time bound. You're way past that time limit.
You
depends-
are an
look,
idiot.
like,
You don't
legal
know what
annulment.
you're talking about.
I do know what I'm
Read
talking
a
about. For a
book.
legal annulment, it's time bound.
This is the problem. It's masturbation. This is all masturbation.
I
None
doesn't
of you
want to
know
address
what
the
you're
point.
talking about.
He doesn't want to address the point.
Why are you
Okay.
talking about things
All right.
You don't want to
have any
address the
knowledge
point.
of?
A legal annulment is time bound. There's a
You're
certain amount of
playing
time
into
after
his
you get married
hands.
that you're allowed to
Wrong.
file for a legal
Ben,
annulment. After
Lauren.
that amount of time, you
Oh,
are no
man.
longer allowed to
You're
file
playing
for
into it.
annulment.
The guy,
Wrong.
look,
Sprout,
like,
you can-
It's
no,
not
look.
wrong.
This guy is clearly wanting some fucking 5 minutes of fame. That's why he keeps making all these fucking weird innuendos. That's why he keeps doing all this weird shit. And you're all playing into his fucking hands. He's fucking creepy. I'm sorry, man. I don't know if you're guilty or not, but you're fucking creepy. And I don't really like. I don't like it. Right? I don't want any of this. Like, look, just please, for the love of God.
It,
Do I get my turn
it
now?
should be considered
shit.
more.
Yes.
Hey,
Well-
can I make a statement?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tuna,
Go ahead,
finish what you're
Tuna.
saying. Sprout, you can finish up. The top row has been muted for now, and then Stardust, it is your turn. I let them go because you said you were fine with it, and it was
Yeah,
your turn
no,
next.
it's fine for sure.
And well, while we have the supposed Christians muted, I want to talk about for just a moment. Well, I guess one's been accused of being a Jew. In many such cases, am I right? Anyway, so while we're talking about that, it should be kind of sus, right? Whenever anybody uses God or religion or an idea, claims that they're devoted to that thing, but then seems to use it as an item to defend themselves, to defend the things that they're saying. Say, oh, women should be subservient to men. By the way, I may not have done things with my daughter. I'm getting my 50 minutes of fame by using God as this weird cudgel that will make it so that everybody's really into. Sprouticus is spending like 50 minutes talking about the God issue. You're not committed to the concept of God. Nobody is if they're doing all of these things that are sinful. You can joke it off, you can move it away, but that's more blasphemous than a person being secular and rejecting God's word in that action. That's like literally like using God. You are turning God into a tool. That's
Thank you, Jack,
it.
for the follow. Sprout, you can say what you wanted to say about what was being said, and then we're going to give it to Stardust to answer the question. And
Okay, cool.
we only got one more
Yeah,
question
the
after this,
questions.
you guys. I'll
Annulment
re-ask
do
it.
it.
I understand.
So annulment is time bound outside of the things that would have legally not allowed to be married, such as incest, lack of consent, undisclosed prior marriage. Both parties were underneath the legal age. These things wouldn't be time bound, but other than that, it's pretty much time bound.
Okay. Thank you, Sprout. Stardust, go ahead. I'm going to unmute the top row, and I hope that they can
What was the question again?
appreciate everybody else's time. When does it ever make sense to grant someone unconditional loyalty? And if not, to what is the extent that we can grant people loyalty?
It never makes sense. It never makes sense to grant people unconditional loyalty. You need to, at the end of the day, like you can have unconditional loyalty to a principle, or an idea. But I think when it comes to people, you should not give unconditional loyalty. Some people on this panel were talking about how all this is like intellectual masturbation. I just want to say personally, I think Ben would have benefited from more masturbation. Maybe he wouldn't be having inappropriate relationships. But what I would say
Nailed
is
it, dude. You nailed it.
what I would
You
say
should be
what
a
I would
fucking
say is
comedian.
this.
You're doing
What I would
What are you
say,
doing
what I
here?
would say before Sir over here started interrupting me, what I would say is, he tried to bring up my personal example earlier about like, oh, you should be loyal to your father or whatever, right? That's if you're going to be loyal to somebody. I'm going to be loyal to the people who took care of me, who made sure I was safe, for people who did not put my life in danger. And I think that, I think that even that is conditional. Even that is conditional. At a certain point, if somebody is putting your life in danger, or is violating boundaries, you just kind of have to cut it off. Unfortunately, that's what it is.
Thank you, Stardust. That was the shortest spoken and I think easiest to understand answer that I've heard so far. It was very condensed. Sprout, I would love to hear what you have to say. I appreciate you. You keeping to your time, so I'm gonna make sure that you get yours.
I appreciate it. The thought process of unconditional loyalty is something that I can't give to a person. I can give to an idea. I can give to a thought process. I can give to a moral, a set of morals. I can give unconditional loyalty to those things because those things don't change. However, people do. I do have unconditional love for some people. So no matter what they do, I will still love them and I will still talk to them, and because I know who they truly are. But that's built over amount of time and almost an amount of trauma bonding as well. But when we're talking about like who you should give loyalty to, when I've heard for multiple people that like family comes up, the phrase and I've heard this phrase so many times is that blood's thicker than water. And that phrase is actually misconstrued from its original statement, is that the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, in which the people that I choose to give loyalty, I will have stronger loyalty to the people who I am born into loyalty of. So I definitely have stronger loyalty for my friends and my group that I've chosen to give loyalty to than the family that I've been told to.
Wait,
So
can you explain that again?
Yeah, so the blood of the covenant. So the phrase used nowadays is that blood is stronger than water, assuming that like the blood, the DNA that you share with your family is stronger than what water that you would share with like friends. But the original statement is the blood of the covenant, which would also kind of be akin to the blood of the promise, is stronger than the water of the womb, or is thicker than the water of the womb. So it means the exact opposite. It means that the friendships you form are stronger than the family bonds you have.
Did you have more to add to that, Sprout?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Before we go to the last question, I just want to point out I'm really surprised that I didn't hear anybody say you can have unconditional loyalty to an animal. Like, for instance, I have unconditional loyalty to my dog. There's nothing she could do that would make me not treat her the way that I treat her. It is.
You can trust.
What if your
I
dog does something really psychopathic, though? Like, for real psychopathic?
Eats a toddler.
No, but dogs are like
if-
a dog is in many ways, right? Like you could say I agree with you in many ways, and I think that it's the same way as having unconditional loyalty to like a toddler or an infant or something like that, in the sense that like what you're really saying is that they haven't done it though. It's like a natural occurrence. It's like that horrible thing isn't actually them.
Yep.
Like they're not capable of sapience and agency at that point. So it's like
Yes.
I get what you're saying, but I think I do think that it's different in terms of what kind of a relationship. And I think that's why Tuna was right in the sense where he said, look, like what we're talking about is the bonds that tie people together here. And the bonds that tie you together with your dog are separate to the bonds that you tie together with, your family, your friends, your broader community. And I think that ultimately, from that point, you can then start to derive, let's say, set points in which, all right, actually, this is where this bond needs to dissolve, even to preserve the concept of that bond, or for that bond to have even made sense, right? Like, you've breached the bond. You've done so much damage to it that it wouldn't be able to be resolved. Now, I don't think that happens if it's a dog, because it's basically what would be a natural slave, right? Like, it hasn't got agency.
Well, my loyalty to my dog includes a certain lack of trust. My dog is incredibly well behaved, but she is a very anxious. She's like a coward. And anxious dogs are a risk. And she's never bitten anyone. But I always have in the back of my mind, she is an anxious dog. She could bite somebody. Like, it's possible. It's never. I've never seen it, but there is a lack of like my loyalty to her includes that I'm going to protect her from a situation where she might bite somebody.
Right.
Yes.
And that's why we keep. This is why we keep dogs on leashes, right? I don't think if you like said you had if you had loyalty in a person every time you took them outside the house, that you put them on a leash.
No, I think
the loyalty
versus trust. You're
dog
mistaking it for
respect
trust.
for them.
We don't trust an anxious dog, but we are loyal to it.
I think in order to be truly loyal, you have to have trust. In order to be truly loyal, you have to trust.
We are pit bull pilled here, Star. I will defend pit bulls.
I didn't say anything about pit bulls, man. I'm just saying if your dog ate a child,
I'm not
pit bull pilled.
So you're invoking the pit bull question, the proverbial pit bull question.
They're just too strong. They're not good. They're not good pets because they're too strong. That's what.
All right, we're gonna move on to the next question.
This is an encouraging virtue. Your weakness is not the pit bull's fault.
No, it's like their tail like knocks shit off the furniture when they're excited. It's like
any animal is capable.
This is gonna get wild. I would just wanted to say, because I kind of thought perspective philosophy might have said that. That's why I said it. I wasn't trying to go off into a whole thing. We've been here for a while. I'm sure some of you guys have stuff to do. So I have one last question. Should our loyalty to our political ideas dictate who we keep in our circles and who we move away from our circles if we find out that they have certain political ideas? Is this ever a good justification? And if so, what has to happen to make this justified? For instance, the guy who was mentioned in the tweet, it could have very well been a business decision. You're going to cost me too much money. I cannot associate with you because of your political ideas. It's nothing personal, but I gotta eat. Or it could have been there's a lot of people picking on me and making me feel bad. It could just be social. So these are a couple examples, but feel free to give any. We're gonna start with Wick, and then we're gonna go up in a column. We're gonna go Wick, Sprout, Smith, Lauren, Ben, and then down to Tuna. Finish strong with Tuna.
Okay, I'll be as brief and concise as I can. I think that for me, I am loyal to the idea that everyone deserves a voice and everyone deserves to be wrong, to put it bluntly. People can be wrong. And so for me to be loyal to that value, to that ideal, it requires me, and I really do mean that, it requires me to keep people in my life that have wildly different ideas and philosophies than I do. And I think that's a good philosophy to have. I think that's a good loyalty to have. It's a virtue, if you will. So again, outside of very extreme cases, such as if you are like if you worship Hitler or something like that, I am not going to cast you aside simply because of your beliefs. It will be your behaviors that get you. So, for example, if you're constantly calling people slurs, yeah, I might distance myself from you. But that's not because of what you believe. It's because of what you're behaving as.
Thank you. That was very short and concise, Wick. I wanted to make sure I give you a little extra room in case you weren't done. Sprout.
All right.
How do you think we operate or navigate this kind of idea here?
Okay, so explain this idea. Sorry, I'm trying to
No problem.
frame it all in my mind right now.
Should our loyalty to our political ideas dictate who we keep in our close circles? And when is it justified to push somebody out of our close circles based on political ideology? And what justifies that?
Okay, so I would argue that political ideology is not enough to push someone out of your circle. Disagreeing on politics, you can have a disagreement on politics, and what I would argue is that a disagreement on a life issue would be a different situation. So there's a difference between like politics and life issues, right? So like if there's life issues, it's like there's a danger, you're causing danger to these people, et cetera, and so on. You're creating danger for like this group of people. And so what I would say is when there is the fact of danger, when you are talking about laws, and I need to be very clear when I say danger, I mean imminent danger, not kind of like made up danger, to where you can make anything into this, but actual imminent danger, whether you're creating laws that cause like imminent danger to people, or you're supporting these ideas or anything like that, then yes, it's okay to push them away because they're actively pushing for something that would be to like the large detriment of a of a people. So yes, I would argue that there is a certain point you can do that, and that would be imminent danger. Because I don't think that anyone should support like Stalin, right? And I don't think anyone should support Stalin. I don't think anyone should support Hitler. And these are like the most extreme examples. But when I'm talking about imminent danger, I'm referring to like the idea that like these people are going to severely pay for these political decisions. But outside of that, I don't think politics should separate everybody. I think politics should become a discussion. I think that when we discuss politics, we all become wiser. We all get closer to the truth when we discuss politics and come to like this kind of like middle ground where we're all just trying to come to the best solution we possibly have. I think that we should all be working towards that, instead of pushing people away who disagree with us, because being in an echo chamber really, really, puts you in a disadvantage when you are trying to figure out the truth. An echo chamber is like the enemy of the truth.
That's well said. Thank you, Sprout. Smith, lay it on me, buddy.
I would probably date a Nazi, but I would not like platform a Nazi necessarily. So I think that like so if you are like a politician or you're trying to spread your ideas, that makes you different than just having beliefs. And I'm not a Jew, so it wouldn't like, it might, I don't know. If I had Jews in my life, like enough Jews around me, it might be kind of a problem.
Your life,
but I'm trying to go to extremes. It's what I try to do, the extreme. You're in my life. Okay. So then it would make it awkward when I'm talking to Lauren. Okay. So that might be an issue, but I'm just trying to give an example of how, like, so I don't care like how extreme the people around me's beliefs are. Like I can still see them as people, but if they're trying to make their beliefs everyone else's beliefs, or if they're running for office, or something like that. Now it's like, well, I can't support that. That is different than just holding a belief to me.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Are you saying that where you draw the line has to do with the person's relative power to enforce their political beliefs? That's when you would say, this is how I'm going to determine when I cut them out of my circle?
That or also their like potential, like their stored kinetic and like they're not just the power they have, but the amount of power they want to enforce. So if they want me to be a Nazi too, like I can't date you. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, like let's say a religious. I'm an atheist. So let's say I can't. I'm willing to date somebody who believes in any religion as long as they're comfortable with me being an atheist and we have these disagreements and shit. But if they want to change my beliefs and stuff, if they want to convert people around them, I can't be with them. And if they're a politician or if they're an advocate or something, then that makes it more murky. Like so like to what extent are you just talking about these things? Or like there's also a difference between people who want to have these conversations and people who want to convert. Those are also two separate things. And people that want to have conversations.
Sorry,
it's a little murky, but yeah.
Smeth,
okay.
Can I check with you really quick? Because you're talking about this idea of someone spreading their ideas. You're talking about it so neutrally. Would you date a Jew?
Yeah.
Would date a no, we're walking this through. You would date a Jew. You would date a Nazi. You said if I was dating a Nazi and I had Jews in my life, I might feel uncomfortable and and break up with the Nazi. Would you date a Jew if you had Nazis in your life that were uncomfortable with it?
Ooh, would you? Do you have Nazis?
Good. That's a really good question. Probably
you've got Nazis in your life. I'm not gonna. We know.
Okay. Okay. Here's the thing. Okay. If I do have Nazis. I like online and shit. I know people that are Nazis. Like, there's one person that comments on my things on Twitter, and they like I didn't even realize that they're like, oh yeah, I'm a Nazi, and I was like, holy shit, this person. But like, if you are going to be in my life and you're a Nazi, like you're gonna have to deal with me dating Jews, and if you can't deal with that, then you can't be in my life. You know what I mean?
Okay. And not the other way around. If you're a Jew in my life, are you going to have to, if I'm a Jew in your life, am I going to have to deal with you dating Nazis?
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't think there's a high chance of me dating a Nazi, but you're going to have to deal with like, I literally have, there's a person who is a fan of me who is a Nazi.
Sure. But this is what I'm saying. You do have some commitments underneath. Even though you're an atheist, you have ideas that you are committed to, and the people that you're associating with are related to those ideas. You like Jews more than Nazis on some level. But if I only have one in my life, I'll live and let be with whichever one.
You're going to have to be, like, if you want to be in my life, you're going to have to be comfortable with the fact that I know that there is a Nazi that's a fan of me, and I'm not going to tell them to go fuck off. Like as long as they are not, like, I'm comfortable with them, like, being peaceful or whatever,
I think you need to grow a pair. I think you need to grow a fucking pair and tell them to fuck off.
The Jew or the Nazi?
Well, I'm a Catholic, so both. No. No, of course the Nazi, right? I mean, I'm basically converting to Judaism as we speak, right? Like, but anyway, no. Like, the thing is that like the way that we need to approach this is clearly the Jews have done nothing wrong. There's nothing really inherently harmful with Judaism, right? Where you go, oh, wait a minute, Jews are going to actually, like, there may be some people believe there is, but there's not. But with Nazism, it ideologically commits you to a relationship to others which is antithetical to human decency and goodness and moral virtue. It is evil. It is a horrid ideology. You should, if you don't, I'm not saying necessarily even cut them out of your life, but it should be a combative relationship. If you are keeping them in your life, yes. It is because you are going to try and convert them to some level of political virtue.
If not convert, the conflict will exist and never be resolved. There will never be an agreement. You know what I mean? So it's like there will always be conflict. So if you are a Nazi and you are close to me, every time anything comes up like that, there's going to be a fight about it. You know what I mean? So, especially if it's public, Yeah,
I mean, that's fair enough. There's a difference between dating them, right? Like,
I don't think I'd actually, but like, there's not a good chance of me dating a Nazi, but like,
when you say date, do you just mean fuck?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I just,
yeah, I think a lot of people.
Yeah, okay. So you just mean
not
fuck, basically.
like so.
Okay.
Even what do you mean?
Yeah,
even if
at
it
that
is,
point, it's over.
No, I don't think you do. Like, look, I think if anything, women, especially in our society, need to exert more force onto which sexual partners they choose, women and men, but specifically women, based on concepts of virtue. That's one of the things. Like, if you look at even anthropologically, like bonobos, they have like a matriarchal society, and like sex is used as a tool in order to exert female power. Women in society, specifically, are the sort of holders of sexual power, and that can be a force for good in many ways. And I think that it can be exerted for good, but it's not going to be used for good if you got a load of women like, oh yeah, I'd fucking Nazi, or men saying I'd fucking Nazi. Like, you don't want women and men fucking Nazi. Like, no, if you fucking Nazi, we'll get rid of you too. Like,
What the hell is
Secondary
anyone talking
sanctions.
about?
I don't
Whoa,
like that. I hate that.
Nazis.
I don't think that.
What the
I
hell is
think that
anyone
women need to
talking
be
about?
empowered in a way
There's-
that's not their sexuality.
We need to drop this entire pantomime, because right now we're not talking about Nazis. Also, we're talking because like
What the hell are you
there is no
talking
fucking
about? There are no
the
Nazis.
Nazi party. All of these people that are politically active Nazis. So we can pull away from that word because it's so silly.
They're clowns.
They're not out having. You're not gonna date a Nazi, Smith, because if you did, a real Nazi, hard N, National Socialist attempting to make a political movement, they're not gonna date you. You look too
Right.
Jewy. They're already filtering you out. We're going bit by bit
I'd
by
like
bit.
to give
Right,
Smith a
right,
chance
right,
to
exactly.
finish his part here, and we can go to Lauren.
Exactly. Like the Nazi that I hypothetically could date would have to be like me. They would have to be as retarded and insane as clearly you guys think I am. Where they would date so they believe I'm their Nazi. You know what I mean? So they would have to be we would equally be just as retarded in that. So yeah,
Makes no sense.
Well,
it does.
It's so
You're a Christian, man. Okay, wait. You know about the idea of going out and trying to change
Whoa.
people.
You date a Nazi, I'll be the Nazi. What the hell are you talking
Okay.
about?
Ben, you're one turn away here. If you want to address that at the beginning of your turn, we can. We're almost at the end, you guys. We're almost at the end.
Thank
Lauren,
God.
then Ben. I don't mind a little back and forth in these answers, but we got to rein it in at some point. Go ahead, Lauren. I
Can
know.
you know what?
What
Let
if
Ben
any
go
political what if any
Tuna.
that you have
Tuna.
political ideas?
Go ahead.
fine. With the political ideas, I don't think that. Can you close the door? Sorry. I don't think that you should just cut people out of your life due to political ideology differences. I think that it's really sad that it happens, though. I think it's really kind of stupid and ridiculous. I don't get it. But then you fight on Facebook. Usually the ideology differences break down to morality differences. So for instance, if you are very much caring about children's rights, and both you and your friend very, very, very much care about children's rights, and that's what you bonded over in your friendship, and then your political disagreement is over how to deal with trans children, then you think in the exact opposite way. Both of you are kind of coming at each other thinking that you're abusing children, or at least attempting to. So that's kind of where it goes out. But if you have the ability to understand where the other side's coming from, or you're at least yeah, I completely disagree with you, and I think that your overall thoughts, if legislation goes your way, then I think that will destroy the country. That doesn't mean that the person is bad just because you think they have bad choices in politics. So you should try your best. If you have any sense of loyalty to a friend whatsoever, you should try to love them for who they are and not just for what you believe are their incorrect opinions.
Can I just quickly ask a question about that though? Do you think that
Sure.
you say it's moral differences? Do you think that moral difference is do you think that morality is always subjective and it can never be reconciled? Or do you think that there is an actual so for example, let's say your moral differences is between you and let's say someone who let's make it more politically, but let's not go so extreme. So it's a Trump supporter versus a Biden supporter. And let's say Trump's saying, or let's say a Republican saying they're going to pull out of NATO, and that your friend supports that, they want to pull out of NATO. Meanwhile, you see that as crippling the United States, so that you're both politically committed, right? like, do you think that there was a way to reconcile this to go like, actually, there is an actual right and wrong answer here, or would it always remain subjective?
I think, well, first of all, I would be on the Trump side. You don't know me.
I don't
um,
care.
okay, but I don't think it really matters just because I have a friend who I think would be wrong. Like, because even though I think that focusing on American interests is best, and I think that's the correct way forward, and she thinks that, the opposite is best, and that's we both think that each other is wrong. I don't think that makes her a bad person. I don't understand. And if I'm loyal to her as a human being beyond just politics, which is pretty much it doesn't like really affect it does affect your day-to-day life, but you don't have to think about it like that.
Yeah, but like, I'm just meaning, like, can this political difference that you say, like, if it boils down to moral differences, you're saying that these are coming out from different moral perspectives. Can these be bridged, or are these positions necessarily irreconcilable, and you're forever trapped in and in, like, you're going to be friends because there is no way to resolve it. And then it comes down to the point of, like, well, I'm not friends with some people. They're not wrong, but I'm not friends with some people. Or is it like, no, there is an actual right and wrong, and which we should maybe encourage each other towards. Do you know what I mean? In which case, maybe like voting for Trump's ridiculous. Maybe voting for Biden's ridiculous. Maybe voting for both's ridiculous, and you should vote for a third party. Do you know what I mean? And there might be an actual right answer to that in relation to a moral position, and that maybe
There's no
true friendship
actual
would
right
be.
answer as to who your opinion as to your opinion on which politician is best. I don't think that you're going to be able to come to an actual definitive correct answer.
But
I
politically, in
don't
general,
think
there's no right and wrong.
Yes, you can. Look, we look at voting as this like Valentine that we're expressing love for a candidate. It's a chess move. You have your goal, whatever that may be, and you pick the move that's best going to make you closer to that goal. And you can absolutely, definitively decide like which politician to vote for will move you closer to the goal that you want.
Yeah, but
They make it very clear on their policy
Can I
position.
just quickly
yes,
say
hold
that?
very
on,
clear what they want.
stop, Wick. But if we have different goals, if me and my best friend have different goals, and the politician in which
Sure.
we would choose to vote for, who is
That's
best for
fine.
us, would be two different politicians. There would be no correct answer in which politician is better,
Well,
or
there'd be
which
correct
goals
for you, your goal, and a correct for
there'd be
her goal.
correct
They're
for
different
me,
goals,
and there'd be
right?
No, no,
They're
but
different
can
goals.
there be a unit? Look, like, I think that's a load of bullshit. I think that this goes away from political unity in the first place, which is actually you both should have the same goal, which is the good of the state. You're just coming at it from different angles, right? So if you want the good of America and she wants the good of America, and you're both trying to vote for the good of America, it's not like if there is is there an actual way
That's so
to resolve
dumb.
this, or
This
is it
is so
just like,
dumb. So, like,
no?
for
I think
instance,
it's important.
I think
Like,
my example was really good. So, like, okay, we both want the good of America. We both want the good of American children. We both want what's best for American children.
yeah,
She wants kids who are suffering from gender dysphoria should go through life-altering surgeries and procedures.
yes,
I don't.
yeah.
We have the same goal of helping kids, but our goals of how to help the kids are the exact
Yeah,
opposites.
but then one can be right and one could be wrong. So, for example, I would say that cutting up kids as the preteens is fucked up, and I'd also say that not affirming gender affirming care at the point in which people are going to kill themselves is equally fucked up. And I'm going to base that off how are people going to actually live their lives and the overall outcomes, because that's in relation to the good of the state. It's the good of the people. So, like, ultimately, there should be a way to commensurate these values. The problem is that I think is that, like, again, it's what Wick said, is that people are actually engaging at this as a chess game. You're not playing with each other, you're playing against each other. That's and so when you're saying that, oh, we're going to be friends, these values are irreconcilable, you're heading yourself towards a fucking civil war, and you don't even see it.
No, it's the opposite.
Perspective. What do I call you?
So
Perspective,
me trying to
philosophy.
be
Which
friendly
do
with
I?
people who
Lewis, if you
He's
like.
popular.
disagree.
Okay.
Hold on. So me
so-
trying to be friends with people who disagree with me politically is causing us to head towards a civil war. I could recognize that no matter how long I discuss with my friend, the issue of children and trans issues, that my friend's not gonna change her opinion. Like my friend Pixie, for instance, she's not. It doesn't matter how long I talk to her, she's not gonna change her opinion. But I'm still gonna be friends with her, and because I'm friends with her, I'm really understanding at least the liberal perspective. I'm getting. I really do.
Good. That's good.
I
But
feel
like,
like I get them a lot more, and I'm glad that I hang out with her and
I think
other
that's really
people.
lovely.
You
What I'm
Right.
really
just
trying to say
misunderstood
is
what he
not
said.
what I'm trying to say is that it's not that I'm saying you specifically are going to pick up a musket, attach a bayonet, and march to when Johnny comes marching home. Like I'm not implying that. I'm not. But what I'm implying here is that the idea that you cannot reconcile your values with even those closest to you, your friends, your family, your in any political sense,
Wait,
to the point in which you can't actually agree upon a concept of good
I think we
is the
have.
wait,
problem.
wait.
This
Perspective,
is no stop.
perspective.
Please. Oh my God! Please let me engage
So-
with him. Just a moment, please.
I would like
Please.
to engage. I haven't
Wick,
engaged at
I
all.
understand,
Wick,
He already
respond
talked.
to
He got
perspective
interrupted.
philosophy,
but give me a moment.
and then
Give me a
Sprout, you can go. Lauren, please wrap up your piece, and then we're gonna hear from Ben.
Here's the thing.
Wick, go.
With most people, that we have a multitude of values. And while I may be very much at odds with an individual on a certain couple values, there are other values with which we can break bread, in which we can ally, in which we can very much engage with each other on. And I think that when it comes to politics and being friends with political people who are on the opposite sides of me, right, is that I recognize that while certain of their values may differ from mine, if I'm friends with you, we share some. There are some values with which we are connecting. And that can, again, translate to the political realm or it cannot. So, yes, I think you can absolutely sit across someone that you're playing chess with, like against in certain areas, but then breaking bread with in other areas. I think that we can't look at this through only one lens or only one situation. We have to. People live lives, right, that are outside of politics, and all the time, and I think that's a good thing.
All right,
So
Sprout, go ahead.
perspective. Real quick, just kind of poll the panel by raise of hands. For those that knew me, say a year and a half ago, who saw me leaving? Who saw me leaving the right a year and a half ago? Who saw
kind
who
of.
saw that coming?
You like to play the Trump character too, so it was hard to tell when it happened. I just sort of realized
I play it now. But like
Yeah.
but honestly, like my views have honestly changed, and throughout all of this, I can tell you like one of like throughout like the entire changing kind of platform kind of idea, one of the streamers I was closest with was Matty Cakes, and there was a we had an election stream together, and we had talked about it, and one of our streamers was like, Sprout, I'm sure Sprout doesn't prefer you try and change him left wing, and she's like he's trying to do the same thing but make me more right wing, which we both were trying to do. We just kind of had conversations together. I don't think it's bad, even if you disagree, to be friends with someone who has like more opposite views than views that you have together. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's actually a good thing for society, because you're going to come together, you're actually going to have these discussions that no one else wants to have.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. I think you're absolutely right in pointing that out, like 100%. Like you need to break boundaries like that of these artificial walls that we've put between each other. That's fine. And I even said like I'm not saying that you're gonna march to a tune to the sound of a political drum, But the point of what I'm getting at, and I think that you've exemplified really well in your story, is that you have engaged in good faith with the belief that there is a right and wrong in relation to your actions politically and their actions politically, and you've went, look, actually, I think I'm wrong. I'm going to change. I'm going to move in accordance with what's actually good here. Whereas the alternative, if you say it's incommensurable, is to go like, well, actually, she's not wrong. I'm not wrong. We're both right. There is no way to resolve this, or it's not resolvable. And there is no unity there. Like if you're committed to something higher than just the political goal, if you're committed to truth in relation to the political goal, then you go, oh wait a minute, actually maybe I'm full of shit, and that's really what I'm looking for from what Lauren's saying. I'm looking for her to go, oh yeah, we need them both move.
I can go wake my wife. I could go wake my wife up and pull her in here, and me and her are gonna have two very different versions of the truth. Like I don't know. I feel like in relationships you're always gonna have like these certain points of disagreement where you're always going to disagree, and there's not really going to be a point to where you come together. I feel like there's going to be that in each relationship because we are all people and we all do have different views, to where you are going to have these like parts to where both of you disagree on a topic, but you just kind of, when you address that topic, you address it with love with the other person, understanding that the person still wants the best for the situation, just sees it in a different light. You can have that understanding and be able to have a relationship with that understanding without thinking like, oh, it's cutthroat because we both disagree.
Yeah, you don't need people around you to. They don't. People around you don't have to. Like, if you need your partners to all like agree with you about everything, and like I think the desire for people to conform to fit within whatever you're comfortable with, like it's almost anti-democratic. And I believe in a United States of goddamn America, and it's a democracy, and like people with different ideas, like we're both Americans, we're all Americans, okay, and that's how this works. I think that the best ideas or the prevailing values, like for example, Ben here, he was saying or alluding to like wanting like women to be more subservient to the fathers or something. Maybe I'm mistaking, but something like that. And like maybe you do, okay. Maybe you don't. But like if you do, then that's not just like a value. You just want to live in a world that looks different than the world I want to live in. Like we have a different vision for what a good society is, right? And that's not you can't, like there's not a right and a wrong or a truth or a falsehood there. That's just like a different vision of the world. Right. You can't like one of us is right, one of us wrong. No, it's just there's unresolvable differences.
Okay, right. Lauren, did you have anything else? I let these things go on because for the most part, it was really expounding upon the ideas that were being expressed as an extension of what Lauren was saying. Did you have anything else to add, Lauren?
Yeah, I mean, essentially.
After that, no responses, it's Ben.
Yeah, essentially what Smith and Sprouticus said. There's not necessarily a not necessarily a singular truth or objective truth that is known. Even if there is an objective truth that exists, that objective truth might not necessarily be known to everybody, and what is known might be debatable with like the information we have. So for instance, I may believe the US was involved in the blowing up of the pipeline between Russia and Germany, but somebody else might think it's Russia for whatever reason, even though it hurt Russia and made Russia lose money and destroyed their natural resources. But, what do I know? So we could have neither of us were there, but neither of us know. So
look, that's different. Can I just quickly say, like, look, I get...
It's going to be your turn right after Ben's. If I don't cut it off, we're never going to get to your turn. I want to get to your turn. If you want to save it for the beginning of yours, by all means. But I'm going to let Ben go. Right. He's been super patient. I muted him once, and he's been patient as fuck ever since. So I'm going to give it to him.
You mean by waiting for his daughter to turn 18?
Hey, come on now. Chill, Lauren. Let the man speak. You don't have to like him, but he has been patient.
I'm so glad that Lauren is here. I'm so glad that she's here.
Oh, yeah.
Ben, if you call somebody out, I'm gonna let him talk back to you, though. So bear in mind.
Let him talk.
She's the one who wanted to do the dirty talk. I was just sitting here saying I'd like to talk. It's fine with me.
All right.
With the verbal spanking.
Okay. Would you like to answer the question, Ben?
Yeah. Now, once again, we're indulging in unbelievably unproductive intellectual masturbation. You have to stop.
Oh my God! How many times is I say that?
You people, look.
If you're gonna say this every time,
fucking kid,
give us
look
an
at
example.
The TV. Ain't nobody here gonna be making any political decisions for anybody. Most of you will probably never reproduce in your lives. Okay, that's a newsflash. Take a look at the screen. Okay, now I'm gonna move from that point to another point. Which means that what we're talking about here is if you're having a party, who are you going to invite? You're going to
Not
invite the best looking, most vital and vibrant people. That's who
We're
gets
not-
invited to the party.
I love how
Now,
you're like.
Who
Did you
else
need me
would
to
I
repeat the
invite,
question,
man?
Ben?
I love how you're bragging.
Who
that you
cares what
introduced
whether
me
they're
to
like
Alex.
they have
Is this an
black
orgy?
hell on their arm?
Oh,
Okay,
Yeah,
you
in a
guys.
sense, yes. You have fun with the most attractive males and females. You make a mix of it, and you have a good time.
And if the
Unless you're in a
related to
political
you,
party,
that's-
which none of y'all are going to be running. I hate to say it. No.
The last time you forfeited your turn.
Door.
Because you're just saying stuff. Do you need me to repeat the question for you?
I'm answering.
I really
your
want to hear what
question.
you think.
I'm answering your question. You're saying,
No, you're not.
how do you figure out who you hang with? I'm saying because you hang with
No,
people
this is
who
more
are
important than
vibrant,
that.
is smart,
We can.
and attractive. And to that end, I would
Should-
like to let everyone
should our
know that
loyalty
my
to our
daughter is
political
gonna be
ideas
running
dictate
a post
this?
stream on her channel, Grace Thorpe, aka Joan, and you're all welcome to come. And the most attractive people and the most vibrant people will be allowed to stay. Now, doesn't that answer your question? Who the hell? What the hell are you talking about? You know, people do this bullshit of saying like, "Oh, I can't hang out with Ben Thorpe because I know what he's been up to." No, nobody believes that. You just can't hang with Dad because he's too.
Ben, I didn't do
interesting and
that.
Too vibrant and too cool for you. Not Elder Drazzy, but a lot of people. It's bullshit. All this pearl clutching. Oh, I'm gonna get
No, dude.
sexually assaulted by Ben.
Ben?
Thorpe on my
But
stream.
people
Give me a
aren't
break.
afraid to hang with you though. People are afraid to like platform you. It's
What are
They're
different.
afraid to be.
of?
They're
Who
afraid. They're afraid to be
fucking cares if you
associated with you,
platform
not
Yes.
hang with you.
Nobody fucking cares, dude.
They're afraid of the association.
How many subs do you have? You think you're like a major political figure? Dude,
That's not my
look
point.
in the TV screen.
Hey,
Nobody cares, dude. You'd be lucky to
That's
have
not, and that's not
anybody
anybody's
been
point.
interesting talking to
That's
you.
not
And I invite
anybody's
you
point.
to have an interesting conversation.
Ben,
all right, Ben.
Ben.
This isn't answering the question. If you think you answered the question, I'm going to move on. You're the only person here. Well, that's not true. You've been the most prevalent person here making snide personal comments at people. Now, to be fair, a lot of people throwing them at you.
Come on,
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
people
yeah.
throwing them at
Horny.
you. I said a lot
man
of people
just
throwing
a
them at you
little
too.
horny.
babies, bunch of
I
fucking
let you go for a while, but I am really curious in this topic. I give
No,
you
what the
30
fucking
seconds if you want to
question is?
answer it more directly. I asked you if you wanted me to repeat it, and you said you answered it.
No. Yeah.
So if you
It's
can
stupid. It's
hurry up and
masturbation.
wrap
What are you
it,
talking about?
I'm gonna move on to
How
the
do
next
you have
person.
a good party? You get a nice mix of attractive,
That's not the question either.
fun, interesting people. If you want to have a conversation, you wanna
How
have
did
a
I
se-
lose my
yes,
turn to this?
Yes, Lauren.
Drazi,
Not
Drazi.
the question.
Okay.
This is
Okay, Ben.
Drazi, can I address something here? This is what the drunk dad says when you ask him a serious question. He refuses the question.
Lauren's the one
He
who's
says, "You
drunk."
want to have
Right
a
there.
party?" This
Right
is what
there.
your uncle says when
That
he's
wasn't
wasted.
an invitation to make.
Hey, hey, stop having
That's
I need to
it.
be drunk.
So-
boring.
So-
This club,
okay.
you
Could've been
want
a
to know
much
how
more
to
productive
take the
conversation
condom
Alright,
off and
I'm
start
gonna-
fucking.
We're
I'm
unsure.
gonna-
That's a good idea. Yeah. That's
So,
right. Take the
Okay,
condom
since
off.
you said that you answered the
It's like
question,
condom
I'm gonna
station.
move on to perspective philosophy because I would really like to hear his answer. I appreciate your answer, Ben. I don't
These
feel like it
types
was
of
answered, but
I'll just say one last thing. These types of conversations are like condom sex. Boring,
Still not the
They-
question.
unproductive, no babies, no fun.
Still
Take
not the
condom off.
question.
Oh,
Try to try to engage
Okay.
a little more. This just
you've got to
sucks.
stop him.
But
well,
it's-
Still not
well,
the
thank
question.
you. Perspective philosophy. It's you have the floor.
Yeah,
And-
I can't remember what I was gonna say now. It's all like such a blur. It's all like, but yeah, essentially I think just to bring it back, like I want to make sort of clear, like I'm not saying that people should be politically alienated from their friends and their family for just like having divisive beliefs. And quite the opposite, right? Like I actually want to bring divisive beliefs under the flag of a single unified purpose, right? Which is seeking a goal which is the actual real fucking good, like not something which you think is good or likewise, and not being willing to engage with people who are politically different. So I just want to make that like vitally clear. And I think that when we look at what's an appropriate, at what point should we stop politically engaging with someone? I think that there's a point in which it's a hard line when when it moves from something like theoretical like moral differences, which I think the United States is like a sort of culture war, And I think that's unfortunately, yes, get out of the culture war, but start embracing your neighbor, start embracing the good of your neighbor, and start embracing each other in a communal sense. And then we're starting to talk about, okay, this isn't a subjective truth. We don't make the point of going, oh, it's all subjective, and so we can just brush our differences under the rug, because then we're not actually dealing with the core problems that exist in our society and exist between each party. And unless we do that, then it's just going to get worse.
But the people you're arguing with didn't say to brush the opinions under the rug. They said open conflict is the solution. You can be friends with people who you have an open conflict with.
Can I ask you guys a question? Do you think you're accomplishing anything here?
Okay,
Damn,
if you
it's
want to
mine.
talk about
You
master,
showed up.
if you want to
Really
talk
think,
Ben, if you want to talk about
do you think you're
if you
doing?
want to talk about putting a
Masturbation?
condom on an intellectual conversation, that is
Yes.
literally what you're doing. If we're having an
Condom
intellectual
on.
conversation, you're like, well, what it doesn't
Have
mean?
fun,
It doesn't mean
please.
anything.
Is
It
this
doesn't.
just real
Nothing
quick?
matters. It doesn't mean anything. Let's just
It's
stop talking
intellectual
about everything.
masturbation.
If this is masturbation and
foolish.
I'm being
Just
paid for
you're
it,
just
am I
gonna
now a sex
ejaculate into a
worker?
piece of plastic?
Yes.
Throw it
Yes.
out.
Yes,
Let's
you are, Wick.
blow it
You're
up
a you're a
little bit here.
wonderful
What is going on,
political
man?
masturbate. We're all masturbating right now, and it's
I'm
great.
trying to say, what about? I'm not going to talk about the art.
Thank you.
Okay, perspective philosophy. Continue. I don't think anybody could necessarily hear my attempts at reining it in there, so I just this time I had to mute.
Go
I
ahead.
think this was the
Please
best.
continue.
Yeah. So like just to respond, Smith, like I think that I know that people aren't saying that, but I think that it's an underlying implication of saying it's subjective. So saying that you're not, look, I have no problem, and I want to make this clear. I even said before, it's Spartacus, is it Spartacus at the
Yeah.
yeah.
Spartacus.
And he said like his willingness to commit himself to something higher than his political orientation at that point, I think shows growth, shows personal development. I think that's great, and I think having like divisions in between people, that's fine as long as you're working to bridge the gap. The problem is that when you just go, oh fuck it, these political differences don't matter. I mean, there's a point where you say like, oh, it doesn't matter, like, what matters is what family or something more like, yeah, whatever, don't talk politics at the dinner table, that sort of shit. But there's a difference between saying like there is no truth here, there is no actual right answer. That's what concerns me.
No. Like in my vision, like we do talk politics at the dinner table, and it doesn't stop us from loving each other. That's I think like I'm not in for brushing anything under the rug. I think that in your world where I think your vision forces people to brush things under the rug because of because they're like afraid to actually say what they think. I think that your vision is unproductive. I think there will be unreconcilable differences between people, and those should be open and like out there and expressed, and that's the only way.
Well, why would you express an irreconcilable difference? The only way
Because
conflict is good. I'm pro conflict.
the only way to have a fruitful relationship is through communication. If you do not have communication in a relationship, you will
value?
not have a fruitful relationship.
Okay, let's say we're communicating, but everything that we say to each other is fuck you, no, fuck you, no,
No,
fuck
it
you.
doesn't-
It doesn't have to be
There has to
aggressive.
be a goal. No, but there has to be a goal that we share, which is the good of
Alright.
each party in the relationship. Right?
Understanding.
Sure.
Understanding.
One more comment from each of you, and then we're gonna go on to Stardust. We're gonna go to Tuna. We're gonna do closing statements. If you guys want to hang out a little bit and bicker, and people who have things to do can get out of here. And then if anybody else wants to come in and just talk for a couple minutes, they can. I had a couple people ask me; they can do that too. But we got to move through this.
A political
I don't wanna keep anybody
a
hostage.
political disagreement doesn't undermine the goal of a relationship.
Thank you, Smith.
Before we move on, can I respond to perspective?
You can also have your one response. Sure.
Okay.
Let's get it
cool.
out of our systems.
I don't think that you believe what you're saying here, perspective, because you don't believe that differences are irreconcilable. You think just for the people in the conversation they're irreconcilable. But don't you think that like ideas meeting one another over time, the reconciliable quality will be found in the discourse? It's just not going to be found by them necessarily. Like if you're talking about, I don't know what the reconciliation between like a fucking Nazi and a Jew looks like, but it is possible. It's just in the form of a third person that is like in
I
a
completely
world
agree.
of open dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, I
Jonah
completely
Hill.
agree with that. I completely agree with that. And like,
Okay.
if we're being honest, then though, well, what we're saying is that there is like it's kind of what Aristotle says in relation to the virtues, right? Like where the actual point, it's a mediation between 2 points, but where the point lies may be closer to one side or closer to another. And what we're trying to do is basically find out where it lies. Like, I think that's the point where you go like, actually, the Nazi might come round and go, oh, actually, I thought I was doing the right thing, I wasn't, and I don't think I should hate the Jews anymore. And that is the reconciliation there. But I believe that exists.
And then the Jew says, "You're right. Hugo Boss is a good fashion line," and then we all
exactly
walk hand in hand.
Okay, did Sprout? Did you want to reply before we go on to Stardust?
Yeah,
Wants
sure.
to reply, you just can't tell because you still have her muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you muted yourself this time.
No,
done a couple times, my
I also
bad.
want to
But
say
let-
I'm
let's-
Jewish and my dog is named Hugo Boss. Okay,
Okay.
that's it.
Based.
Okay, go ahead, Sprout.
Okay, so communication doesn't need to be aggressive. As a matter of fact, it's often more productive if communication isn't aggressive. If you're not being aggressive when you're communicating, you're just trying to get someone to understand your thoughts and you to understand their thoughts. That's like the purest form of communication. So even if those thoughts disagree with each other, you still have the capability of understanding why someone else might believe something. So when you're having that communication with somebody, the best way for it to happen would be for these two differing ideas to try to reach to understand the other person's idea, and then be like, I can see why you would agree, I can see why you would think that, but I still think you're wrong. And then it could turn into like here's why I think you're wrong, and then you'd be like, I see why you think that, but like there's a very easy and very compatible way to have these type of discussions, but it seems like you think that it only happens within aggression.
No, I think that like it happens with commitment to like an actual truth. Like if you're not committed to the words you're saying in the sense that you believe that this is an accurate portrayal of reality and that everything is subjective and that this is all just about, essentially into fucking political games, then I think that's going to basically fuck your mind into a culture war where you're not going to be able to get out of it. I think that the point of what I'm saying really is that I agree that people can be divisive, that they can have differences, but they have to be committed to something actually being correct or incorrect at the point in which they listen to what the other person's saying and they pursue truth because they know that they could be wrong and the other person can be right, and likewise the other person could be right and they could be wrong because there is an actual truth between them.
But
I agree with you. There's no hope.
We gotta
there's no hope
replies.
for
It's
perpetual
Stardust
trolls.
turn, guys.
There is no hope
But
for
being-
perpetual trolls. I agree with you.
being committed to like what you like your truth, like it means
it
like
is
you're
Stardust turn, you guys.
not tolerable
Hey!
of differences.
Hey, it's my turn, you dumb fucking fucks.
I didn't respect their moderation. He can fucking
Sorry,
mute
guys.
me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So yes, thank you for giving me my spot. Sorry for screaming.
I
so
almost didn't mute to let you do it on your own. I respect your authority.
Thank you.
You scare me.
Okay. All right. Well, sometimes you have to, bring the fist down, or bring the banana down, as I like to say. But anyways, so what I would say is my personal opinion on this question is that I don't think loyalty should be based off of political beliefs. As you guys know, I'm somebody who interacts pretty frequently with pretty controversial people. And in my opinion, I think we should be striving to understand the way that other people think. And through understanding the way that other people think, you can better argue them on those topics. But loyalty, in my opinion, is based off, or should be based off of principles that you value the most. And you'll often see people who will claim that they value certain things, and then through their actions, they actually reflect that they don't value those things whatsoever. So I think that kind of transcends political ideology. You like Lauren was saying earlier, you can have a friend and you both like value the safety of children, or you both value individual liberty. You just have different ways of going about and achieving that. And yeah, somebody might be more wrong than the other person, but that's kind of up for you to kind of like you go down that path with that person, and yeah, just know what you know. I guess the principles that you value, and like, and if somebody is being dishonest and not living those values while they claim those values, then yeah, it's
So can I just ask you, so make sure I understand
Yeah.
your answer? Is it the loyalty to our political ideas dictating who we keep in our circles? Is it based on how honest the person is being about their political ideas that determines whether we keep
I
them in our
guess
circles or
maybe
not?
for some people, yeah, no, you're right. I wasn't very clear with that. So yeah, for some people, honesty might be one of those things that they value. But it's going to be different for everybody, right? So for me, I just kind of am like, but yeah. So generally, I think you make friends based off of shared values, shared principles, and that transcends political ideology.
Can I just ask though, like, do you not think that you could be friends with someone that has an opposing political ideology? Like, they may exhibit like virtues in their life. They might be honest. They might be courageous. They might be like decent, but then they mightn't be of the same like. And even like, is it not a political question to go like, what values should we like sort of adhere
I mean,
to?
in a way, I guess it is kind of political,
true.
but you are you're right. You'll have people of different political ideologies who claim to value the same things, and then you'll have people of the same political ideology as you who don't value the same things as you. And I often end up like, I don't know, I end up getting into fights with a lot of people. But I'm not sure I understand the rest of your question.
But like, look at it like this. Like, what I'm saying is that
yeah.
you could see that someone's like committed to honesty, hard work, faithfulness,
Mhm.
decency, love, compassion, whatever, right? But then we have a
Mhm.
different ideological standpoint. But then you might have someone in your own political ideology, quote unquote, that is an absolute prick, and they might be committed to being selfish,
And I
dishonest fucks, right?
and
And you might,
I tend to like tell those people to fuck off. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, exactly. So, like, can
Yeah.
we not say that, like, if the problem isn't necessarily commitment to an idea, it's commitment to the wrong ideas, right? Like, where we're saying, like basically, we're committing
Sure.
ourselves to like a party mentality rather than like what you actually care about. And it seems to me like you're saying that you care about like
Sure.
something like honesty, friendship, hard work, faithfulness, all that sort of good stuff.
Mhm.
But what
I
you
do.
don't, and that can transcend a political boundary. But what happens if you say like let's say there's a point in which there's absolute contention between you and someone else, right? Where it's like on one of those moral points. Like, do you know how would you approach that?
I mean, I think you. So I guess I think you like argue the best that you can, right? Argue for your position the best that you can, and try to see where they're coming from. And it's going to depend on like what exactly you're arguing about. If it's something like whether a genocide should be committed, obviously like you're gonna peace out pretty quickly, right? Because there in no way in my head is there something that I value that would in any way justify like a genocide, right? um I guess
So what
if you
about
really
oil
tried hard you
reserves?
could, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think you just kind of argue the best that you can, and you do the best that you can, and sometimes you are going to have these irreconcilable differences, but sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll come to a middle ground. Sometimes somebody will come over to your side. Sometimes you'll go over to theirs. So
When you say irreconcilable, quickly,
Right.
do you mean that's something that you haven't managed to
I need to
reconcile?
go soon. I can't. I hate to.
The
do
goal
this, but
isn't to
I
reconcile
have
sometimes.
We're-
things to do.
And between you two, I think we're looping. I think we got a pretty good idea of what Stardust is saying. And Tuna's the last one to go here. If you guys want to hash it out a little bit more, you can do it after Tuna
Yeah, sorry, I'm
gives his
proud.
piece. And Tuna, feel free to go ahead and include your closing statement, your socials and all that again at the end of it,
Sure.
so that way we can get to Wick.
Sure. Okay. First thing, our duty to our social domain is way higher than our civic duty, because everybody that we're interacting with in our social lives is a part of that social fabric, is a part of that civil fabric. So like when we elevate our duty to the civil fabric above the personal, what we're actually saying is this domain in our life where there are things about us that we have extreme authority over. what somebody in our life does, whether they're healthy and happy, and we like abandon that person for some grand concept, we're not only putting politics above the personal, we're actually putting the loose, abstract political ideas we kind of have influence over above the direct things we have tons and tons of control over. So I just think that that's the stupidest thing ever. So if you fucking, you cut off your dad because he is a Trump supporter, sorry, a bit retarded. If you take your brother does some weird shit in the personal life, but he's a politician, so you don't tell anybody and you keep it secret. Like he's like sexually assaulted someone in your family. To hold the political above is to disrespect the nature of the relationship. You have a greater intimate civil duty than you do these grand civil duties. All of these big things that people break up with one another over, they're mostly political spectacle. They're mostly this thing, this ideological commitment, this identity that we're creating so that we can feel like we're doing something while we're not doing something. Oh, I wear the red hat. I wear the blue hat. Be nice to me. I have autism. Throw these freaking Mexicans over the border. It doesn't matter. All this stuff. You don't live in fucking Arizona. Over half. Pretty much all of America doesn't live next to the border. Yet somehow that became a big political question. So that's the first thing. I think this idea that our political commitments, that we should break up our relationships over it, it's actually less responsible to politics. And then the other thing, which is that we take these things in our personal realm and we label them as political. Oh, I'm not going to let you do that. And we actually have as a personal gripe that we're labeling as political because we think everybody else has a responsibility to take our personal feelings more seriously than they are. So we're like, actually, it's not just that she's a bitch or he's a bitch. He's a white supremacist. She's a psycho white woman. She is like, we're picking random things to like boost the importance of us on an individual level. We don't matter. Other people, their opinions on us. We don't need 10,000 people, harassing a woman. Like what? There's that fucking, what was that random woman that's crying because she's like fucking hugging her son? People started pretending she's like doing some kind of weird pedophilic thing. Ben, clear example. Ben has a greater responsibility, theoretically, towards his own family and protecting his daughter from the harassment and all of the spectacle of this stuff than he has to answering the question when people ask, have you fucked your daughter? He's correct. Not only does he not owe us, he kind of owes his daughter, because she's in the public light, not answering that question, even if it were true. Like, that relationship is a little bit more important.
No, and it shouldn't be true.
I
mean, obviously,
my relationship with your mother all I want, and it is dirty.
And he also owes his daughter the respect of not doing that to her. And
hey, I'm not saying otherwise.
I think Tuna's point was valid to the topic. We don't need to launch into attacks on Ben. We've already done this.
I'm giving it as an example, and just to ground this kind of final portion of it. The main reason everybody is like becoming enemies with one another is because politics is too boring and too uninteresting for people to actually go into it. So we need to make it extremely personal. We need to make it so that we guilt trip one another into getting to the poll places, guilt trip each other into having political affiliations. No one gives a shit. So we create all this media spectacle. We say that, Dad, if you don't vote blue, we're through. That's like the point. It's just a bunch of fucking guilt politic. I think that it's completely retarded. Anyway, I'm going to do my sign off. Unless anybody wants to respond to that, I should probably do the sign off after it.
I agree that most of these things about, for example, Donald Trump, are just daddy issues. Like, Donald Trump is not a national socialist. He's not a deep threat to anything. He's obviously just a funny old man. And people project issues, their daddy issues, their family issues. I think around the family table, a lot of people should have a lot more real conversations about the family. And that may allow them to be more honest about politics, which very few people really have any knowledge of. I mean, these morons that have been telling me about what the church teaches about annulment, like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about.
You did so strong in that first part there, Ben.
Nobody cares.
Can I just say about Tuna?
What you think.
Yeah, can I just say about Tuna's point? I think that was actually really great. I think what it alluded to is something that I was trying to allude to as well, but I think in more eloquently, that like essentially this culture war, this identity conflict is really consuming where it's, and especially since it's like people are using it as social currency, it's becoming this fucking thing where it's like you don't vote Trump, you don't vote Biden, blah blah blah, and it is sort of like consuming our lives. And I think that the problem is just how we resolve that, and I think that's the real problem for politics today.
Yeah, but you can't be resolved. You're the one who wants to resolve it, but like it can't be resolved.
Smet, this is probably true of politics generally, because politics is just an extension of people vying for limited resources. I don't think that there is a perfect political end. A lot of people think that there is, but like if it can't be resolved, then just, it's like life. You don't want it to be over. You really don't want discussion to be over. You don't want, vying for your opinion to be over. I don't know why people are so exhausted of the idea of trying to like make their lives better. Oh my God, if we could only get past the politics. Just keep the politics in the political, and then you won't be so tired. Doesn't have to be at the bed. It's weird that it's at the dinner table, by the way. It's weird that it's at the dinner table. It would be better if it was at like a city hall, or we had a place like here. This is attempting to be an isolated space where people talk about it because they care about it. But like, your mom cares more about mashed potatoes than she does about the GDP.
Well, that's like policy, but like when it like the politics, like there is politics that's personal, like feminism or something, like that kind of thing. So like, what if your mom like I've been in family situations where like men come over, like uncles and shit, and they will like step, like nudge to the other men to step aside, and like whatever these fucking retarded women are talking about, let's go talk about men shit. And I'm like, fuck you. Like they're not like being retarded right now. Like what is your problem? You can't handle listening to a woman. So like that kind of thing.
Nobody
like,
can.
I mean, it's
Tina, you can respond to Smith and then sign off so we can get. I know Wick's got to get out of here. I want to respect his time, and then we can do whatever the hell we want after people say their closing statements and have an opportunity to leave with some, dignity the way that they intended to leave this.
Sure.
So,
okay. What he's doing there, and the fact that you're describing that as a political thing, and that it needs to be taken as a political thing, I think is silly. Your uncle's a prick. That's what's happening. This idea that if I don't respond immediately to my uncle being a prick, then I am complicit with the oppression of all women in the world.
No. I'm not saying to do that. No, absolutely not.
Sure. So, well, then recognize what I'm trying to say. Feminism, or all these political things, they talk about the ethics and the politics of the social realm, but they're meant to be addressed on that larger level with that language. And if I go to my uncle and I say, "Hey, don't you know that that's an oppression of women and yada yada yada?" I would just say, "Don't talk about your fucking niece like that, idiot. Are you fucking like, just don't talk about your niece like that." That works more effectively. People don't listen to political language in social.
You're a loser.
Tuna, I got a quick question for you, buddy.
Go for it.
Where can we find you?
Where can we find you? Can find me on fucking twitch.tv/tunachip. I'm going to be streaming after this, and it's not going to be politics. We are going to be looking at the blueprints for the White House, and we're going to just see what we can do with that.
Cool.
That's a little bit weird, but okay.
It's The Sims 4. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. All right. I was getting a little concerned. I'm like, Tuna, what are you planning? Good God.
All right.
January
Wick,
6th, 2024.
I'm going to hand it over to you, Wick. I just want to say before we go to your closing statement, I appreciate everybody for being here. I appreciate your patience with me. This is my first real panel. I understand if I muted you too much, or if I didn't mute who you wanted me to mute. This is a learning process for me. I'm going to talk to some people after this, get some feedback. I'm working on it. I appreciate you having that understanding for me. Wick,
Sure.
thank you very much for being here.
No, thank you for inviting me once again. I had content planned today, but this week has been people ditching me left and right. I'm beginning to take it personal. But no, thank you again for having me on. It has been, I would say, a pleasure, but I don't want to lie to you. I respect you more than that. I will say that I think the topic itself of loyalty is very interesting to me. I wish we would have been able to get into more kind of nitty gritty with it instead of going to these very extremes. But it is what it is, gang. If you like what I have to say, or even if you hate what I have to say, I host a show weekly on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. You can find me at Wick TV, twitch.tv/wick TV. You find me on youtube.com/@wick-tv. And you find me at kick.com/wick TV. Thank you for having me. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have Alec Gunter on. We're going to have Fairy Queen on. We're going to have Walter on and Dami Lama. And we're going to be talking about the New Mexico's governor's emergency declaration, where she, through fiat, got rid of some of the gun laws in that state, or some of the laws that allowed open carry and such like that.
Temporarily.
Yeah. Is this something we want to condone? Is this an overstepping of bounds? Should we stand this, or should we be very concerned? We'll be talking about it tomorrow. Thanks again for having me, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Take care, Wick. This is something I wanted to say beforehand, but I know I wanted to let Wick get out of here. We still got some people who are sticking around here. I very rarely say this, but feel free to sub or donate. I never suggest it, but Mortal Kombat 1 is out if you buy it early, and I would really like to get that so I can get an edge on the competition, and I would be more than happy to stream my ascent back into Mortal Kombat godhood for you all. Sprouticus, go ahead with your closing statements and let us know where to find you, what you're all about. If you decide you want to start streaming again, that is.
I'm gonna stream again. I'm going to. I've taken a extended mental health break because I was honestly exhausted from trying to keep up with what I deemed as like an obligation to those that subscribe to me to continue to kind of like be on schedule and all that stuff. So I was just trying to work with that and everything. But anyways, you can find me at twitch.tv/thesprouticus. I will start streaming again. I can't guarantee it's going to be like on time every day, whatever, anything like that. But looking forward to that. Yeah, twitch.tv/thesprouticus and twitter.com/thesprouticus.
Thank you very much, Sprout. Smeth.
I'm Smeth, real Smeth on YouTube. If you wanna take off that political condom, you come on down to my channel. We'll get real messy.
Let's do it raw.
Yeah.
All right, Smeth. At Real Smeth on YouTube for political raw dogging. We got Lauren. This is my first time meeting you, Lauren. Wait, I guess just check. Smeth, was that all you had to say? You paused for a while.
Oh no, it's pretty.
We'll cut you off.
I'm not big in the.
Okay.
Whatever.
Lauren, I appreciate you coming in last minute. You know, we were down 2 people like a half hour before the start. We ended up with 2 extra. But I genuinely appreciate you coming on here. I appreciate you being patient as everybody else is. You don't even know me, so I assume no loyalty from you. And it was very nice to have you here. Please let people know where to find you and what you're about.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a really good time dunking on Ben all night. My name is Lauren. You could find me at Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Lauren De Laguna. I'm a conservative. I do a lot of interview videos. I also do some videos about the law because I have a law degree. So I would learn things about, I don't know, divorce and annulments and things like that at law school, and other statutes. So, yeah, that's me.
Thank you very much. I'd be happy to have you on again sometime in the future. I'll get better at this moderating thing. I'm new to it. Ben.
Yeah, I'd like to invite anybody who would like to come over. My daughter has a stream going now. We're going to do that, sort of let loose a little bit more, less formal situation. Her channel is Grace Thorpe, aka Joan. I think the stream is going now. If anyone wants to pop over, blow it up a little bit, have a little more fun, And that's it. Thanks for having me.
Lauren? Thank you, Ben. Where can we find you though? Do you have Twitter? You're on YouTube.
Twitter, Ben Thorpe Able. Ben Thorpe, aka Able, is my YouTube channel.
Okay. Thank you very much. Perspective philosophy. I just want to say, before I even started streaming, I watched your videos, and it's really a big honor for me to have somebody that not only that I watched, but like you've actually been like instrumental in changing my views as a person. You're, I would say, almost single-handedly the reason why I'm vegan. Some of your arguments for it really pushed me, and I genuinely look up to the amount of work that you've done for the things that you believe in. So I really appreciate you being here. It's an absolute honor to have you here for those reasons. Not that I don't appreciate anybody else, but I know that he's like newer to the politics space, and I just want to give credit where credit's due here.
So that's
Please
where you got the
let people
vegan
know where to
shit.
find you.
One second. I was just saying, oh shucks, thanks very much, for, Elder. I really appreciate that. But what did you say, Smith? Is something about?
I'm just teasing.
You're
We had
welcome-
an argument about veganism before. Sorry.
Oh right, I was just going to say you're
Oh,
welcome
no,
to
the
come on
worst
my
argument
channel or
ever.
something if you want to talk veganism. Like genuinely, if you want to discuss it, like you know. But yeah, like I really appreciate this. I appreciate everyone on the panel. I think everyone, for the most part, engaged in good faith and just wanted to have a nice, clear conversation. And I think that's always a solid start. And obviously, I'm sorry if I talk on abstracts and I'm quite verbose. I know I'm terrible for that, and I typically like to take things down to the most simple level I can. Simple as in the most complex. You know, it's sort of inverted. What's the foundation of your belief in morality, politics, those kinds of things? Because I'm interested in the sort of abstracts of these questions. So if I've derailed some conversations, I'm sorry for that. It's what I do.
Are you
But yeah.
Catholic? Are you
I
Catholic?
am Catholic, yeah.
Oh, okay. should
We're
talk.
quite, no, we're quite speculative as a people. But like the thing is that like, yeah, like you can find me at Perspective Philosophy on YouTube, where we talk about philosophy, politics, and veganism. So yeah, thank you again for having us on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm super happy to have you as a guest. Stardust, I appreciate you being a surprise guest. I had a pretty full panel when you asked me, but I couldn't tell you no, especially if I would have known you were going to be in the banana suit. I would have told you to come in sooner.
Thank you
It
for
always
having me.
sucks. It always
I'm
sucks
sorry?
being the second prettiest girl. It just sucks being the second prettiest girl on the panel whenever you show up.
Oh my God, please.
Both of you are
that's very kind
powerless
of
to
you.
me.
But it's very kind of you. But don't worry, I know my place. Okay, in the hierarchy, Lauren. Don't worry about it. Okay, I'm no threat to you. All right. I'm Stardust. Thank you for having me on the panel. I cover politics, drama, news, and just really weird stuff. Honestly, I like to traumatize my chat. You can find all my stuff at stardust.rip. That's stardust.rip. And if you want to see me occasionally have mental breakdowns on stream, they're bits. Please don't be actually worried for me. It's all a bit. I'm going for like an Eric Andre kind of chaos kind of thing going, you know. So yeah, if you like to see somebody have mental breakdowns and take a lot of pills and stuff like that, come check me out. So yeah.
I saw that. That was
Stardust.
pretty
Yeah, I had
funny.
one of the best debates. I've had one of the best debates ever with you, Stardust. Like you're actually like really over that Ukraine shit. I was like, damn, she knows her shit.
Yeah.
Sorry. I feel bad about that still, honestly.
I told Stardust.
You should.
I was so mean in
No.
that. I was such a mean person in that debate. But yeah, I do.
And you look serious too. Like I wish you were doing it in the banana suit, being mean.
Yeah, I
With
should
your
do it
makeup
more
all
often.
beautiful like now.
Thank you.
Star, actually, my bad. I said I like to give credit where credit's due. I don't think I've ever publicly thanked you. You stuck up for me super hardcore when a lot of people were being shitty. And I thank you for that. I'm not gonna waste this opportunity to publicly say I appreciate you for that. That was really cool of you.
No problem. No problem. Everybody deserves to be defended
Except me.
occasionally. So
Except
yeah, except for you.
No one's gonna back that.
Okay,
Look,
but Ben,
I did what I could, but
he did.
God
but-
damn it, dude, you're so fucking hard when you start shit with people as soon as you start talking, man.
Right.
I
Well,
gotta
you're-
let him go after that.
That's
I think you do it on purpose though. Like you kept like bringing up like
Oh,
examples
he
about-
intentionally wants people to think think that. He intentionally wants people to think that honestly, from what I'm judging, is you like the drama that comes with it, and you like being the center of attention, and so you're gonna keep up this ploy because otherwise you would have just said no.
I'm the internet's dad. It's okay that everyone's got daddy issues.
That's exactly
here
it,
for
though.
you.
But to call yourself the internet's dad, like it's obviously you're like in the Jesus Christ.
I like to call them father issues.
I gotta go. Thanks for having me.
Daddy issues.
Bye, Lauren. I
Bye.
appreciate
Bye.
you being here. I appreciate you being here. It was great.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'm gonna bounce as well. Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone. I hope
Me
you all have a
too.
lovely
You're
night.
welcome. Perspective Plus,
nice
what
to
time
meet
is it over there?
It is 3 a.m. here, so I am.
Go to
gonna bounce,
fucking
yeah.
bed.
Oh my
It's 3
God.
a.m.
Yeah.
Dude, we should
Extra
talk
thank
sometime.
you.
We should talk sometime.
I'm happy to talk to everyone. I hope you are all having a nice night, and I am gonna bounce now. So thanks again, guys. It's been
Good
really
night,
fun.
brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna bounce as well. Thank you for having me.
Bye,
Dr. Frosty.
Stardust.
Anytime.
And
Stardust.
don't let anybody
Sorry for hurting
anybody.
your feelings.
You didn't hurt my feelings. Trust me.
Sorry for
I
pushing your banana.
it's actually virtually impossible to hurt my feelings.
I know, sister.
Yeah. Good luck, everybody. Stay safe. And I appreciate you all. You're all, individual human beings with your own value in the world.
Stardust. Just send it.
So, what?
Get lost. What's with all these fucking
long
people here? That's right.
I like it when
It's
people
gotta
are a
get
little
over
mushy,
it.
man.
And I'd just like to
Yep.
say one last time, what the fuck is this? It's just like a tiny little group.
I'm probably
This
gonna
was a
head out.
question that I thought was really interesting to ask and to see what people thought. That's all
All
it
right.
was. And there was people that are kind
Bye,
enough to
Smith.
indulge me. I appreciate you being here, Smith.
Yeah.
Matt,
Uh,
we like
no,
to
I
talk.
Don't
Don't you come
Maybe.
Over don't you come over to
I will.
break
I
the
will
stream?
say
Just for fun.
Ben
Don't
has
take
been like
Ace
really
Smith.
animate that he wanted to talk to you. Like when I talked to him about
Okay.
this, he said, "I'm especially excited to talk to Smith."
Yeah, I think
um,
he gets.
He sounds smart, but
he
he's
told
like
me he values your honesty.
yeah.
He didn't ask me to
I
say
don't know
this.
how honest he is, though. That's the thing. That's what we got to get to the bottom of. And
Let's
I
get to the
cannot.
bottom of it.
Hey,
All right.
Smith, don't take
If you
more
guys
meth than I
want-
do. All right.
All right.
If
I
you're
won't.
worried about it, Smith, I'm more than happy to moderate a conversation between the two of you. It's a
don't
lot
think-
easier than
It's
15
not like
people.
we got a beef. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm interested in.
Hey, I'm just
maybe
saying if
not
there's
the
any
same old
reservations,
shit. That's all I'm interested in. is not
I
the
want to
same
see
old
that conversation. If I could help, I would. That's all. That's all I'm
All right.
saying. Peace out, homie.
Peace out, homies.
Good night.
Peace, Smith.
All right. And that is, and that was pretty decent panel. Panels are chaotic, whatever, but it was pretty all right. It's pretty good. My video that I'm working on is really good about my experience with narcissistic abuse. It is, you are going to cum your pants. Okay. Have a good night, Smith heads. Take a nice dose of smethadone before bed. All right. Yes, come and cry. Okay, good night. And thanks for the super chats.